Welcome to the first Chew the Fat of 2026. Sorry about the slight delay there. I had a little trouble locating the appropriate opening title sequence for this because this is a slightly different episode from what we do on, or different stream from what we do on Tuesdays. Tuesday every week on the Nielsen ratings, we kind of review the best old and new films and TV shows that we think you should be watching. I mean, we review some of the new stuff too. Sometimes it's not always good, but we try and focus on the stuff that's good. And Chew the Fat, which traditionally takes place on a Sunday, normally around 8 or 9 o'clock, we talk about a show in more detail, TV show or a film or a movie that we want to recommend you, that we think is particularly good. This one's a little bit different. We're going to be talking about the original era of Doctor Who. So we're going to be talking about the top 5 stories from the 1963 to the 1989 Doctor Who era, the original era. Jacob Ironside, good to see you here. Snorter Poopers, good to see you here. Thank you for popping in. Please do share the stream if you can. And I've got a couple of panelists coming in to share their top 5 with me. If you're a YouTuber, and I did put the word out, but it's quite difficult with algorithms and stuff to reach people properly now. But I did put the word out. If you're a big Whovian and you'd like to take part in tonight's stream, let me know and I'll find a way to get you the link. Good to see you, Crumping King. I think you're somebody I did a little tag on YouTube, because I think on your channel there might have been one of the Next Time trailers, and I tagged a few sort of Whovians and said, hey, I'm doing a stream about this if you fancy coming on and talking about your top 5 Doctor Who stories of the original era. So just to clarify, when we talk about the original era, we're talking about William Hartnell right through till Sylvester McCoy. I mean, I'm not going to include the Paul McGann attempted reboot, although that is considered canon. We're going to go up to 89 and no further. You can include the Doctor Who movies because they are considered to be canon now. Bernard Cribbin's character in the second film also appears in the show as the same character, so that is allowed. We are going to allow that. When we're talking about top stories, we're not talking about favorite episodes, we are talking about favorite stories. So in the original Doctor Who era, you've got quite a number of these to choose from, and I'll tell you exactly how many. Because going through from William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, Jon Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davidson, and then you've got Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy. The total number of stories from seasons, this would be season 1 until, excuse me, season 26, which is the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. The number of stories to choose from, there's actually 155 of them. Some of these consist of 3 or 4 or more episodes. Some of them are feature length. Some of them are just 2 episodes. Now, before I start coughing myself to death, let me bring the first of my guests in. Darth Plato.
Greetings from planet California. Would you like a jelly bean?
I've got a little bit of a cough, so I might have to mute myself occasionally. Tell me when you first started watching Doctor Who before we get into all this.
I started watching Doctor Who in 81 out here on the west coast of the U.S. That was KTEH Channel 54, San Jose. It was on 6 days a week, so I watched it. It was 1 episode a night during the week. It almost always ran Tom Baker at 7:30 in the evening. On Saturday night, it ran at 11:30 p.m., and it was usually Peter Davidson or something else, but not Tom Baker. So between Baker and Davidson, I probably saw and rewatched all their episodes like any of my favorite of like classic Star Trek and Star Wars. It's on par of anything I've ever watched many times.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is considered to be by Whovians, that's what Doctor Who fans know. It's considered to be a golden age of science fiction, particularly some would argue the Tom Baker era.
Yeah, I prefer Pertwee to Davidson, but yeah, Baker's hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean, I do have. I mean, what I tend to find is that most people who have a favourite Doctor, it tends to be the one that you first started watching the show with. So whichever Doctor was on TV when you started watching Doctor Who, when you first started watching it.
In my case, that would be Baker. The very first story I saw, and it started with the first episode, was Ark in Space.
Right.
Right. That was here's the funny thing. That was the second series run for Baker overall. So I actually missed the robot episode. So I had to wait a long time before I saw the robot episode.
Well, when I first started watching Doctor Who, and it was on Saturdays, this would have been mid to late 1970s, probably around 78, 77, 78, something like that. And the Doctor then was Jon Pertwee, and he had a very sort of fatherly charisma.
Mm-hmm.
And I really took to him. And also Sarah Jane, who was his companion of the time, was the spitting image of my mum. So it was a bit weird. It was a bit like sort of watching my parents on TV, because although Pertwee and my father didn't look alike, they had a very similar energy.
Really?
So I was sort of watching the show with these two people that kind of had a bit of a similarity to my parents, which was unusual. Now, I can't remember what the first episode of Doctor Who was that I saw. I do remember that I didn't get to see Pertwee for very long, and then pretty soon we were into the Tom Baker era. So I probably saw some repeats of Pertwee, because I saw the Death to the Daleks, Invasion of the Dinosaurs, I sort of vaguely remember seeing, and Planet of the Spiders. Creepy. So I think I basically caught that last season, which would have been season 11, but on repeat, because that season originally came out in 1973 and 74, and I definitely caught it a bit later than that. So, by the way, the Yorkshire Stream, the Yorkshire Geek, have a great stream. Can't hang about, but my favourite Doctor Who stories are Terror of the Zygons, Genesis of the Daleks, Seeds of Doom, Earthshock, and Remembrance of the Daleks. Well, 4 out of the 5 of those all made it into my top 10, because I did a top 10 first, and then I whittled that down to 5. So,
Remembrance of the Daleks is popular, but I don't have that on my list.
I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to cover kind of near misses and honourable mentions before we get into our top 5. I am supposed to be having one other guest coming on, but
we can just talk about something else in the meantime.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say was originally when we were going to do this stream, we were going to talk about top 5 Doctor Who villains. And I said maybe that'd be a bit boring because everybody would pick the Daleks. But the Daleks are not your number one Doctor Who villain. Talk me through that a bit more.
I don't know. The Daleks just seem very one note to me. They were never really that interesting. They just come in, exterminate, and that's it. That's pretty much all they do. They weren't really that interesting. I mean, there are good stories with them. I mean, Genesis of the Daleks and Day of the Daleks are on my list, and that. But for me, I thought that the most memorable villain, honestly, because they were just creepier and they just seemed more sinister overall, rather than just roll in the room and kill everyone, was the Cybermen. Love the
Yeah.
Cybermen.
Do you have a favourite Cybermen story? Because there was quite a big gap between the time that we first saw them, which I think was the Tomb of the Cybermen,
Yes.
and then the next time we saw them,
They weren't in Hartnell. Yeah, they weren't in Hartnell, were they?
They were in. Well, Patrick. They weren't in Hartnell. Patrick Troughton was Tomb of the Cybermen, right?
Yeah. There were a couple Cybermen episodes.
Yeah, and then the next time.
Yeah, Tomb of the
next
Cybermen.
time we saw them wasn't until way later.
Yeah, I think it was 5 years, real time.
Yeah, there was a big gap. I think one of the doctors skipped them all together. I don't think they were in Pertwee, were they?
Yes, Pertwee. Wait, no. Actually, come to think of it, yeah, I think you're right. They weren't in Pertwee.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I might be wrong.
No, I think you're right. They weren't in Pertwee.
Yeah.
And then they went, yeah. So then they showed up in Planet of Gold, I think it was called, in the Fourth Doctor, and then there was another big gap before they showed up in Earthshock. Or 5 Doctors. I don't remember if 5 Doctors came before Earthshock or not.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about that storyline. 17 people watching. Thank you for tuning in to the Outcast Creative. Today we are talking about the top 5 Doctor Who stories of the original era. So that's 1963 to 1989. And myself and my guests are going to choose our personal top 5. You can pick, you can include the 2 Doctor Who movies, which also came out during this time. They are considered to be canon now. I know there's a lot of debate about that, but they have made links.
Okay, if you're including the Peter Cushing Who as
we are indeed.
Okay, so that means that in the classic run there are 9 different actors that played Doctor Who. That
would be correct. Yeah, 9.
I
mean, both of those movies are basically remakes of earlier stories from the Hartnell era. Two of the Hartnell Dalek things, but I mean, they're essentially the same scripts condensed into a feature film, but they are great movies. And I can't remember when it was I first saw the Daleks, but one of those movies I was taken to see at the cinema.
You saw it in the cinema? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was taken, not on its original release, but I was taken to see it at the cinema on a Saturday morning. So a lot of like older movies got a re-release on a Saturday morning, and it was the Saturday morning show, and we got taken to see one of them one week, and then I think Dalek Invasion of Earth was like the following week. So they must have both been out for some time. Again, this would have been around 77, 78. I'm sure I saw both of those films before Star Wars came out, just before, literally, or it might have been just afterwards. That might have been why they showed them. Anything sci-fi, you know. Yes, it is. The answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
I'm just going to blow my nose.
Yeah, I was turning through the channels one day, and I saw the Doctor Who logo come on TV, and like, wait, this isn't KTH, and then I just started watching. It was like Peter Cushing, like, wait, that's Grand Moff Tarkin. And what's going on? I was completely confused about what was going on. It was pretty neat though. Yeah, they had the different color Dalek. That was the first time they ever showed that.
Yeah, I think
it's the only time they ever showed that in the classic run.
That was probably the first time I saw the Daleks in color, because until I think about 1979, we only had a black and white television set.
I thought Pertwee's entire run was in color.
Yeah, so the first time I saw the Daleks in color was probably, almost certainly would have been in the movies. Oh, my third guest has arrived. He's just getting his avatar ready. Let me. I'm gonna get up the Invasion of Earth now. Of course, what's really interesting is that both of the Doctor Who movies were directed by the father of my greatest collaborator, Jason Flemyng, and very much someone I consider to be family. Yeah, I mean, both of the movies were directed by Gordon Flemyng. They were made almost within a year of each other. And the funny thing is that Invasion Earth, which I consider to be the superior of the two films, was what didn't quite make as much money as the second one, as the original movie, Doctor Who and the Daleks. And that surprised me because I just thought the second film was superior in every sense. It had better special effects. I thought it had a better story. It had more action. But it didn't make quite as much money. And I was always a bit mystified by that. Inside Man is here. Welcome to the stream, mate. We haven't started yet. We were waiting for you.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
yeah, great. Great. Yeah, it's interesting just to listen to you a little bit backstage there. But no, it's good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, I've just been talking about the show in general.
Yeah,
and also how we are going to include the, if people have picked them, we are going to include the Dalek Invasion movies or the Dalek big screen movies. And to me personally, I've always considered them canon. I've always considered them
same here. Same here.
You know, do you know when you first watched Doctor Who, and I was saying earlier before you came on that what I've always noticed with Doctor Who is that the doctor that was on at the time that you first started watching Doctor Who tends to be your favourite doctor. That tends to be the one people always go, he's my favourite, because he's the one I grew up with. He's the one I knew. I mean, just tell us a bit about when you first saw it, and also when you first saw the movies.
Well, it was the Pertwee era. That was the doctor that I sort of grew up with, and then obviously the regeneration with Tom Baker's Doctor. I was sort of missing in action for a few years because I was living abroad, and the country that I was living in had no television, and there was no TV station, and they couldn't syndicate something or show anything that when you didn't have a TV station to show it. So I had to catch up with the rest of the Tom Baker when I moved back to the UK. In terms of the movies, I remember seeing them very, very young, actually. And I'm not 100% certain, but I think that they were shown on TV in certainly before I moved abroad, so around about 74, 75. And I loved the pair of them. Really, really enjoyed the pair of the movies. Although there's one terrible shot in one of the movies. Terrible back screen projection thing at the end of one of the movies with Roy Castle.
Oh, you're talking about the end of the first one.
Yeah. When he opens the door of the TARDIS and you got this terribly bad back screen projection that's totally off scale.
Yeah, and it's like a load of Romans.
It's pretty dreadful. But
it's supposed to just be a comedy gag, and I'm sure it was funny at the time. But it doesn't really land very well now.
But yeah, I mean, it was Pertwee that I grew up with, and he tends to be my favourite Doctor. I mean, he was a much more. So you can't take anything away from Tom Baker because he's fantastic actor, absolutely fantastic actor. But I think he played him so differently. There was such a massive evolution between the two Doctors, probably the biggest evolution between Doctors with that regeneration from Pertwee to Tom Baker. You had Tom Baker, who was incredibly eccentric and had these odd idiosyncrasies, whereas Pertwee was more of a comfortable, sort of benevolent doctor, with a kind face, nothing too quirky about him.
He was very fatherly, wasn't he, Jon Pertwee?
He was, yeah. I loved him.
The sort of lovable granddad.
Yeah.
But he was also a man of action, because the 70s was very much a time of chop stocky, Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, that sort of thing had come out, and so they had him doing karate all the time, a lot of that going on.
But yeah, that was that was my first foray into Doctor Who, and I absolutely adored it. Absolutely adored it.
Yeah, it was growing up for me. I think it was on Saturday weekly. I seem to recall it was on around. It was either just before or just after 6 o'clock, because back in that era, it was considered to be quite adult and still sort of a bit too scary for young kids.
Yeah.
And the things that were considered to be scary back then, i.e., badly animated robots and sort of dodgy looking puppet dinosaurs and things, would seem ridiculous to people now.
Yeah, and I think halfway through the Tom Baker era, you had they were trying to make it a little bit more family orientated, hence the introduction of K9 into the Tom Baker stories, because of the amount of complaints that they were having at the BBC with the levels of violence that were incorporated into Doctor Who, which by today's standards is absolutely nothing.
Was that just Mary Whitehouse writing a letter every week?
Yeah.
No, that would have been after the Leela run, I think.
Which episode are you talking about?
Well, I noticed the same thing. Tom Baker seemed to be more tame after a certain point, but the Leela was pretty, more suggestive in dress compared to what we saw before. So that doesn't really strike me as family oriented. So I think it's probably after that. And also, I think Leela, it was during that run that they did Horror Fang Rock. That's a pretty scary episode.
That is
right.
Frightening as a kid, I remember.
Just to mirror what Inside Man said. Hi, Inside Man, by the way. Would you like a jelly baby? I've always felt that Pertwee was my favorite Doctor, personally. But I've always thought that Tom Baker had the better overall episodes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
I just wanted to
I think he had better scripts because they were trying to make it, certainly initially with Baker, they were trying to do very sort of Asimov influenced science fiction. It was you had those kinds of people that had read those books working on Doctor Who and trying to do variations of those kind of themes and
that's interesting.
What is the message of this?
Yeah, I wanted to say something real quick about Jon Pertwee. I've mentioned it to people. A lot of people don't know. Maybe you know this, but Pertwee during the Second World War, he served on the HMS Hood.
That's right. That's correct. Well done.
And he disembarked the Hood. His run ended the day he left the Hood. The day before, there was an emergency, and the Hood set out to sail, and they went to sail after the Bismarck, and the Hood was sunk as part of that engagement, and there were only 3 survivors.
Yeah.
So that's kind of scary if you really think about it.
It is. Yeah.
I knew he'd served in World War II, and I've probably been told that factoid before, but I forgot about that. Damn, we nearly got robbed of one of the best Doctor Who's ever by the Nazi war machine.
And of course, one of the great actors that was in Carry On Screaming as well, the scientist.
Yeah, he played a lot of really, really good roles and other things.
He did, yeah.
So you want to talk about favorite episodes and honorable mention and stuff like that? That's great, but what about companions?
Favorite companions on Doctor Who original era. My two would probably be, my top 3 would be Leela, Sarah Sladen, who, as I explained before you came on, Inside Man was a spitting image of my mum. So I was kind of, always felt like I was watching my mum on TV. They had the exact same voice as well, exact same pronunciation and diction and everything. My mum was very well spoken. And then I also really liked the one from not Tegan. Who was the one that was in? Oh my God, her name escapes me. But she was in the Davidson era, and at one point you had her, you had Tegan, and you had Adric.
Nyssa,
right? Nyssa. Yeah, Nyssa was my other favorite. I don't know why.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the female companions, they usually go back and forth between someone who's kind of brainy and versus someone that's more daughter-like.
Yeah.
In the case of Susan, it was actually kind of both. But after Susan, it kind of went between one or the other. So Zoe was more of the brainy type. And then they had Liz Shaw. Liz Shaw was definitely the brainy type too. And I think Shaw kind of went away because of that. They don't really need two brainiacs on stage at the same time. And then we got who I think is a very underrated companion is Jo Grant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Katie Manning is someone I've met on about 3 occasions. I might actually be able to get her to come on.
Legendary.
And she's such a lovely person. Yeah, she was good. I mean, she does say that she felt like her role was often to get lost and scream a lot, you know. But yeah, Jo Grant was good. I think
she was my absolute favourite. I have to be honest with you, especially afterwards when she did those amazing nude photo shoot with the Dalek.
Did she?
Yes, she did, and it's quite something. Yeah.
I feel like we should Google that.
Yeah, good girl.
All right,
I'll always love her for that.
All right, we've got 17 people watching. We're gonna do our top 5 Doctor Who episodes in reverse order, and we're gonna point score them. So in whatever's in 5th place will score 1 point. Whatever's in 4th place will score 2, and so on and so on. 1st place scores 5. So we'll see which gets the most points between the 3 of us. As we've explained, you can pick a Peter Cushing film, but I'm only going to allow my guests to pick 1 in their top 5, not put 2 of them in there, just because I think that would be less interesting and gives less space for the TV show. But what we're going to do first is we're going to do some honourable mentions. So I did a short list, and I'm going to mention some of those that didn't make it into my top 5, but were in my short list of 10. And I'll do this by Doctor in reverse order. So my favourite McCoy story, I don't have one in my top 5, but I do have one in my top 10, and he was a bit of an acquired taste Doctor. I quite liked him towards the end. I didn't like him at the beginning. He was too much of a clown. But I really liked Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you got the special weapons Dalek in there. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And also felt very logical, you know, that they would have sort of other types of Daleks with sort of slightly different functions. And it was the first time they did the thing where if someone got shot, you know, you kind of had that illuminated skeleton, which I thought looked really cool. It was a good story. It was great fun seeing Davros in a deodorant can, which was a first. But yeah, I thought it was a good. I just thought it was a good story, and it didn't make it in my top 5, but I thought I went for each Doctor and thought, you know, which is going to be, which is the standout for each Doctor, and I kind of worked it out from there, and then I started chipping ones away. So that was my Sylvester McCoy. Did anybody else have anything in their shortlist? Not your top 5, but anything in their shortlist for McCoy?
No,
not for McCoy, unfortunately. No,
not in like your top 10. No, near misses. Okay, but either of you a fan of Remembrance of the Daleks?
No,
I like it. It's better than Resurrection of the Daleks, where we don't even have the Dalek voices. So we don't even have the Dalek voice change there. It's just people talking like that in the Colin Baker.
That's the one with Alexi. Is that the one with Alexi Sale in it?
Is there Alexi Sale in that one?
It's the Colin Baker Dalek story.
The Colin Baker Dalek, yeah.
And he's got that funny gun in the corridor. It was all a bit naff. That one.
I mean,
thought.
I like Colin Baker. I think he's a wonderful actor, and he's a really lovely person.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
that, unfortunately, that was the story that really tainted the whole Dalek thing for me for some years. Just listening to people talking like that,
Yeah.
it didn't do anything for me. Obviously, a budgetary thing where, or the batteries had run out and they couldn't afford the new batteries for it.
Was that the reason?
I would suggest so. Definitely a budgetary reason.
It just goes to show how like the BBC at that stage just weren't putting any money into it at all.
Yeah,
they kind of
do it as
to get
cheaply as possible.
Yeah, which was a real shame. But okay, so no one else had near misses in the McCoy era. So let's go to Colin Baker. I had one in my shortlist for the Colin Baker era, and I actually rewatched it, and I enjoyed it, but only for one reason, and that was The Two Doctors. That was in my shortlist. It wasn't in my top 5. The reason I enjoyed it so much was I think Patrick Troughton.
He steals the episode.
He totally steals the episode, and he was also the best Doctor Who that I never saw. So Troughton was before I was born, but it was really great. And like you say, Colin Baker's a wonderful actor. It was really great seeing the two of them paired up, and when they were in scenes together, that was when it really, there was a great sort of frisson. There was a great chemistry between the two of them. Unfortunately, the rest of the time, the story was a bit mediocre, more so than I remembered. But I did love the two of them on screen together. I would have liked to have seen more with the two of them. That was the only one I had from the Colin Baker era. Did anyone have any near misses or anything in the shortlist from the Colin Baker era?
Well, for me too, only two. No, Two Doctors. You've already commented on that. I'm not going to expand on that. I'll say this: I thought the Centaurans were the least developed bad guy that I would have liked to have seen more of, but they just never expanded on it or really improved upon that. Unfortunately,
not in the original era. We got a lot more of them in the new.
Yeah, I didn't like that though. The fact that they were the whole time war angle I thought was really interesting, but they never really did anything with it. The other one is actually the Cybermen episode. I don't know why. There's just something about that episode I like. Of all the Colin, when I rewatch stuff, those are the only 2 episodes I rewatch.
Isn't that the one where Lytton gets converted into a Cyberman?
Yes.
And you've got the weird chicken-looking thing that's like an alien with the sewers in Paris, isn't it?
Yeah, love it. I don't know why. I just do. It's like I've always been a Cyberman guy. I dislike most of the Dalek episodes, and I like the Cyberman stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like that story.
He's messing around with
it's another one that suffers from production value, but it's a good story.
And there's also a great Easter egg. They brought back Cotter's Lane, the junkyard.
Yeah. That's Attack of the Cybermen, which is story 137, that was originally broadcast in 1985. 2-parter. And I did quite like it. That had Brian Glover in it as kind of like the guest actor, plus various other people. That was not bad. I quite like that. I've rewatched that a few times as well. And it was quite scary in places.
Because the Dalek episode that happened before that, they had those 2 Bobbies that were bad guys.
Yeah.
And when I started watching the Cybermen episode, they showed those guys, and I was totally tripping the first time I saw the episode. Like, oh wait, it's those same guys. It's them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about them in a sec. Inside Man, did you have anything from the Baker era that was Colin Baker era that was a near miss?
No, I didn't. I'm afraid.
Okay, no problem. Well, that's good. We can skip on. So I had a very near miss from the Davidson era, but there's just a couple of things that let it down. So Resurrection of the Daleks, which is the episode you're talking about, Darth, with the two policemen. It opens with them murdering a whole load of people in London Docklands. Turns out they're people they're prisoners that have escaped from a time portal. And the whole story is basically about a load of mercenaries that have been hired to assist the Daleks in breaking Davros out of his space prison. And I think they want Davros because I think they're either fighting the Mavellans again, or there's a Dalek civil war. I forget what's going on in the background.
No, that episode set into motion the Dalek civil war. Right,
that's right, because Davros starts recruiting his own. He starts recruiting his own little army, and Leslie Grantham, as in Dirty Den from EastEnders, is in it, playing like Davros's assistant sort of thing. There's a lot of action in it, which is really great, but it's really hampered by a couple of things, and that's that they couldn't work out or keep consistent how people were going to die. I don't know if you guys remember, but when people got shot, they did one of two things. They either just like screamed loudly and fell down really badly, like the Indian model. She was a model actress when they break into that little room where two of them are holding out, where she gets shot. Her death is beyond pathetic. Or they did that thing where they made the screen go kind of silver. People froze and then just sort of fell backwards, but in the frozen thing. But they didn't keep it consistent all the way through. So it kind of had a couple of things that let it down, and then things about it that were really, really good. Rodney Bewes was in it as well. He's not the best actor on the planet, if I'm honest. I thought Maurice Colburn as Lytton. I think he was a great actor. But I did really like it as a story. I really liked it. I liked some of the action.
How about the last guy they shot? So he shoots him. He stumbles all the way backward, hits the back wall, then stumbles all the way forward, and has the wherewithal to jump up onto the table to detonate the device.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's Rodney Bewes that does that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sort of sets off the self-destruct or whatever it is. Yeah, again, not really consistent. That was the big problem with it. But I mean, there was some great stuff in it, like the time where they fired a machine gun and took out the eyepiece of a Dalek, which you would be able to do, if you knew to fire at it and you could hit it at close range. I thought that was good that they were able to do that. But that was the only one from Pete. Now that's the only one from Peter Davidson that made my shortlist. Really? I've got a Davidson episode in my top 5. I don't want to say what it is yet. So Inside Man, did you have anything from Davidson on your shortlist?
I did not.
I'm getting a sense of what your top 5 might be combined to. Okay.
Yeah.
Darth, did you have anything from Davidson on your?
Not in the top 5. I do have honorable mention though.
Yeah, give me the honorable mention.
For the top, well, the best episode in my opinion for Davidson was Caves of Androzani. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Caves of Androzani.
That's probably the best episode he did. I like Earthshock again. It's a Cyberman episode. I like Planet of Fire because it's a great master episode. If you really watch it beginning to end, it's a great episode. I kind of want to say 5 Doctors, but that's almost cheating, so I'll kind of set that aside. Another one I like, and this is maybe a guilty pleasure on my part, is Enlightenment. Now, the reason I like Enlightenment is because I love the trapping of the whole thing. They're old wooden ships, like almost Nelson-era ships in space. And they're kind of dressed for the part, and I just tripped out over all that, and I love all that stuff, and so I like that episode for that reason, even though it might not be worthy of an honorable mention, but I'm saying it anyway.
No, that's fair enough. Well, I do have, like I said, I've got one from Davidson in my top 5. I did really like The Caves of Androzani. Again, that's another one I've rewatched not that long ago. It's got great villains. It's got some good action. The special edition updated version of it's also really good. So yeah, I'll definitely.
Let me put it this way: you asked for a top 5. If you asked me for a top 6, I probably would have named that my number 6.
No one ever does the top 6. They always do top 5 or top 10. So
we'll have to think about that. But if you did do a top 10, Androzani would be on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance this would be in my top 10. And if it wasn't, it would be.
Yeah, that was a 10th episode.
I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah, it's not in my. Okay, all right. So nothing from Davidson from Inside Man is a near miss. They're more in the top 30 for you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's during your South African time.
Oh yeah. And we come to it.
Now I've got quite a few from Tom Baker that are in my shortlist that didn't make the top 5. I would say the one that is the biggest near miss, and I went back and forth on this so many times. I'm going to see if I can get a picture of it up. I have a feeling, Inside Man, that this one might be in your top 5. I mean, don't say if it is. We'll wait and see. But this was one of the things that I remember about this, apart from the fact that it was very scary at the time that I watched it, was that it got repeated quite a few times because I saw it certainly more than once. I recall as a kid, I probably saw it about 3 times. And they showed it. One very vivid memory I have of it is them showing it all in one go, one Sunday afternoon. They did that occasionally. They would do a repeat of a Doctor Who story and just show the whole thing in one go. And we didn't get it with everything. We got it with a few. I'm trying to find an image of it here. Right, finally, here we go. So, and that would be, this would probably be the biggest near miss for my top 5 would be Doctor Who and the Seeds of Doom. Tom Baker.
Controversial.
Well, I mean, at the time that I watched it, I know it's not aged great. There's some stuff in it that's the effects are not brilliant, but I always remember, like, you know, they find that pod, don't they, in the ice, and I remember sitting there watching it with my dad, and it's like there's a scene with the scientist making some notes, and he's got the pod right next to him on the desk, and I was saying to my dad, that thing's gonna do something, like it's gonna move, it's gonna do something. And then when it started moving, I remember like shutting my eyes, and it was like a hide behind the sofa moment. Because the first time I saw the Daleks, they made me hide behind the sofa. But it was a good story. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool. You know, it's got elements of The Thing and various other things. Is this not a favourite of yours, Inside Man? I thought it probably would be.
I'm not going to tell you where this might be.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I'm disgusted that you could not have put this in your top 5. I'm
well, wait and see what my top 5 are. It was very close, close to being in there. Thanks for that, man. Appreciate that. If I've got any other YouTubers who are big Doctor Who fans, I did message a few people, and you want to come on with your own top 5, original era only, so that's up to 89. Let me know in the chat. I've probably got room for at least one more guest. So, yeah, I just think it's a good episode. It's really well done. It's a really interesting story. That was one of my near misses for my top 5. Darth, are you a fan of this one?
In some respects, yes. In some respects, no. I mean, you've kind of touched down on what the negatives are. I kind of like the bad guys, though. They just seemed. They were really memorable to me for some reason. Maybe because I watched it as a kid. Maybe if I watched it now, I wouldn't like it so much. But because what was his name, Mr. Chase, he struck me as kind of like a Bond villain, and Scorby was like his henchman. So there was just something about that was very memorable to me. It was a pretty scary concept. So
Yeah, it was.
I like I like the episode overall. I'm not sure it's worthy of the top 5, but it was interesting to me.
And I remember I remember seeing some Pertwee stuff, and then this, because things were repeated back then. You didn't always see things in order. But I saw a whole load of Pertwee Doctor Who, and then fairly soon afterwards, I saw this storyline. I remember seeing Robot as well. That was another one of the first ones I saw. It's not anywhere near my top 10 though. Robot. Great fun seeing that toy tank though. Purely for entertainment value. So Inside Man, do you have any Tom Bakers?
I do.
Near miss.
I really do, but unfortunately, this one is going to be even more controversial because it's the beloved Pyramids of Mars.
Really?
I do like that one.
I do.
It's a good one.
It was nearly there. It was nearly there, but it was very difficult to drop it out of the 5, to be honest with you. Because I was toying with it, and I thought, do I like it as much as the ones that I put in my top 5? No. Do I like it? I like it very much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. That was kind of the criteria I set for myself. Was do I like this as much as one of the ones in my top 5? Again, this was another one I found very scary. The mummies in this, when they start moving around, and I seem to recall that they pursue the groundskeeper who's got his shotgun, and eventually it cuts to a shot of the two of them like sandwiching him between them.
Yeah,
and they crushed him to death. I found all of that very scary. That was, again, this is another one that I recall getting repeated. Certainly it got the all-in-one Sunday treatment. I
recall that, funny enough.
Yeah, I saw it as individual parts first, but I remember seeing it all in one go. Botanical Brother says he's got the action figures. Did they bring out mummy action figures?
Wow.
For this? No, they did. Yeah, I guess they must have done. Another near miss that I've got from the Tom.
Are you my mummy?
What's that?
Are you my mummy?
Yeah, that's later. Another near miss I've got is Destiny of the Daleks.
What was that?
And again, that is definitely in my top 10. It was.
Is that the one with the Mobellans?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I as a kid, I really, really, really liked it. Part of the reason I liked it was I thought the Mobellans looked very cool. I think it was probably because I had sort of confused young boy feelings towards Suzanne Dando, who was one of the Mobellans. But I mean, it's got some terrible effects in it that haven't aged well. But it's a great story. Again, the Daleks kind of returning to the lab where Davros was left, and they're trying to get to him, and they're fighting a future war against the Mobellans. They need Davros to help them because it's like the war is deadlocked, and the Mobellans have arrived to try and stop them. But it's a cool story. I think it's good. Good one. That was another near miss for me. Does anybody else have any other near misses from the Tom Baker era?
Yeah, most of them are from the Tom Baker era. I'll say off the top of my head, I'll say Arc of Infinity. Because as I said before, that's the first story that I ever saw on TV. For the one, so it's memorable in that respect. Also, it's a good sci-fi story.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that. Isn't that the one where like the big sort of dead insect thing falls out of a container?
Sure. The worm or whatever they're called. Yeah, I don't know what they're called.
Rin or yeah. No, it was good. Needs to go back to the episodic format. Well, I'd agree. But of course, don't forget it's quite common for shows to get launched per season these days, so that people can watch episodes as and when they feel like.
Just to make a comment on this, what this guy's saying, I agree, but the reason why they don't do it anymore, I think, is because modern audiences, I don't think, have the patience that audiences in the past did.
They don't.
Yeah.
Because in the old days, you could just you can slow roll this stuff. Nowadays, it's like, the TARDIS lands and they're running all over the place.
Yeah, I think you've got to have something very established to get away with a weekly drop. It's got to be a global brand. And I mean, unfortunately, Doctor Who was a global brand. I'm not sure it is now.
Yeah, long episodes. I mean, like a War Game was what, 10 episodes long?
Yeah, back in the day.
And there's no wasted motion either. All that it was just a great episode. But we'll get to that.
I mean, the only other near misses I've got to mention are the Five Doctors, which was the Davidson era. Really enjoyed that one. I thought it was good. I thought the Cybermen were great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, they had the interaction between Pertwee and the Ainley Master. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
because the last time he saw the Master was Roger Delgado. He's like, wait, I know this guy.
Yeah.
I love
yeah,
that.
all the actors that have played the Master in the original era, I would say, were all good in their own way.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't Roger Delgado, he was really good friends with
Yes.
Pertwee.
Yeah, I was going to mention that before Inside Man came on. The last episode of Pertwee's One was originally supposed to be a Master episode.
But he died in a car crash on holiday, didn't he, in Greece or Italy?
Yeah. So they had to they were going to reveal that the Doctor and the Master were actually brothers.
Right. Interesting.
And because but because of Roger Delgado's passing, they had to change it to so they came up with Planet of Spiders instead.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So this is my last honourable mention. Doctor Who and the Invasion of Time. I think this is a great story. Doesn't quite have the budget to carry off what it's trying to do, but it's a good story. Leela's great in it. It's a good reintroduction to the Sontarans. Yeah, I liked it, and it's one I've watched not that long ago. So I did quite enjoy this. Does anybody else want to mention any other honourable mentions? Do you have any honourable mentions from Troughton or Hartnell? I do not myself, because again, I didn't grow up in that time.
I do not.
No.
There was one, but I just don't remember what the episode was called. What was that? What was that called?
Anyone would think you hadn't prepared for the stream.
Well, off the top of my head, I guess I would say The Brain of Morbius. There was just something about that episode that I really liked.
That's another one that was really, at the time,
it was
very kind of quite creepy,
Yeah, it was. I loved it. I loved that episode. Seeds of Doom, already mentioned that. What was that episode called? And what was that episode? They were out on the ship and there was a smuggler's ring. I like that episode, but I don't remember the name of it.
Are you talking about, is that a Tom Baker one as well?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see if we can find that. Yeah, this is Brain and Morbius. I remember this really well. This was another one that got repeated a few times. Again, I've got a distinct memory of seeing this as a feature-length broadcast as well as individual episodes. And I think Baker, probably more than any other Doctor, got that. I think because by the time Tom Baker was in the role, it was also the era of Doctor Who, 70s going into the 80s, where the TV stations realised there was a value in repeating shows that people hadn't seen the first time around. And this is before everybody owned a video recorder. And of course, a lot of the original Doctor Who, especially sort of first era Doctor and second era Doctor, got wiped. I mean, it's so weird to say that out loud, that the BBC, in order to save money, take over episodes with tapes to film something else. I mean, that's just insane that they actually did that.
I mean, there was something actually. There was a series that Gordon Flemyng had actually directed. It was a situation comedy that the BBC did called The Army Game with Michael
I remember
Medwin.
that vaguely.
Yeah, Michael Medwin. I think Bernard Bresslaw was on it. They did a Bootsy and Snudge, which was the spin-off series. But Gordon Flemyng had directed an awful lot of those episodes, and sadly they were wiped as well. I think there's only one episode of that actually survived. Tragic.
Wow.
Tragic.
That's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, bonkers.
Another good episode for Baker was actually the Towns of Wing Chang. You don't really hear people talk about that, but I think that's a good episode.
You will.
Well, we might well be talking about that. Okay, well, right. So, guys,
what did you guys think of the vampire episode?
Is that in the more recent?
That was from Fourth Doctor.
The vampire episode. Which one's that?
Yeah, there was it was late in his run when they changed the intro to the stars that they used in Davidson. It was in that run. So Adric was in that run. Romana was in that run.
I can't have thought much of it if I'm struggling to remember.
They were in E Space. It was when they were in E Space. There was a number of episodes when they were in E
era
Space.
Was dog shit.
Yeah,
that was just an excuse to save money and shoot lots of stuff in interior sets.
Yeah.
We haven't done our top 5 yet. We've been talking about near misses and stuff, so we're about to get on. Dan, if you want to come on, let me know and I'll send you the link. All right. Okay. So here's how this is going to work. What we're going to do is we're going to mention each of our picks first before we discuss them. If any one of us picks something that's further down your list, we'll discuss it now at the same time. So we're not going over old ground.
You're not going to go down to Pertwee and Troughton?
Yeah, well, I've been doing that. I just said Pertwee, Troughton, and I haven't got any runners up for Pertwee because my Pertwee choices are in my top 5.
Okay.
I've got no near misses for Pertwee, and I don't have anything for Troughton or Hartnell because I haven't even seen most of the Hartnell stuff. I've seen some of the Troughton stuff.
Really? I've seen some of the Hartnells.
I've seen. Yeah, BBC put all of it up on iPlayer not that long ago, and I went through and I watched some of them. I watched all the Dalek ones, including some that have been replaced by animation or whatever, and they were fun. But they don't have the same emotional gravitas for me because I didn't see them back in the day.
Sure. But they're still interesting, and some of them are good episodes. I have a list of them.
It's a good pick here from 8 Bits and Boy 472. Tim of the Cybermen, the Daemons or Demons, as the Daemons.
Just say
Genesis
Demons.
of the Daleks, Talents of Wang Chang, and Seeds of Doom are my favourites.
Yeah, the A is a diphthong. You just pronounce it like a long E.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to score these as we go as well. I'm gonna keep score here. Just had to put my reading glasses on now. Those are the ones that make me look like Joe 90, which is why I won't be coming on camera. So, all right. Inside Man, what is your number 5 pick?
Okay, my number 5 pick is the Talons of Weng Chiang.
Okay, all right. You can talk about it in a sec. I'm just going to make a note of that. Okay, and that's a Tom Baker, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, all right. So that scores 1 point so far because it's I don't have that as my number 5. Darth, what's your number 5?
City of Death.
That is a good story. Do like that one. Okay, I don't have that, and I don't have Talons anywhere on my top 5.
Really?
No. So neither of those are in my top 5. My number 5 pick is story 121, which is Earthshock with Peter Davidson era, Cybermen.
Yeah, I like that episode. Yeah,
storyline, and I'll talk about why I picked it originally. Now, what's interesting about Talons of Wen Chiang and I'm going to hand over to Inside Man in a sec as to why he picked it, was a distinct memory I've got of seeing that is that I saw that, which involves lots of kind of smoky, dark streets of London shots.
Yeah.
It's very Jack the Ripper vibe.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing an episode of that, and then right after, or certainly it was either the same night or the next day, Carry On Screaming was on. And they had, do you know what I mean? They had a bit of a similar vibe. It was quite weird.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was young enough to find Carry On Screaming quite scary, so I must have been really young, like 4 or 5 or something. But yeah, talents of over to you, Inside Man. Talk us through your number 5 pick.
Okay, so the reason I chose this, it's really because of the aesthetic. At the time, I was sort of rereading Conan Doyle, and it felt very Conan Doyle to me. It had that sort of Jack the Ripper, Conan Doyle aesthetic and feel to it. Something that I absolutely adore, but I don't know. It was one that stood out for me for so many different reasons. I just think that Tom Baker. I mean, as much as I absolutely do adore Jon Pertwee, and I really do adore Jon Pertwee, but Tom Baker, for me, I think his performances, particularly in this, I think are really good. There is a couple of things that, by today's standards, would be considered problematic. Obviously,
some of the interpretation of the racial roles, maybe.
Yeah, we don't see too many people in yellow face makeup these days.
No,
but it felt very different. It felt it felt very much a big departure, and I like it when what I like is when we jump from something familiar to something completely different, and we have to immerse ourselves into a new world, whether it be Earth of a different era or another planet. It makes no difference, but this, I like the historical aspect to it, but it's the aesthetic, really, I think, that really grabbed me when I first saw this. I love it. I think it's great, and it certainly is well worth a rewatch. I didn't know they were all in the iPlayer. So I
don't know if they still are, but they were about a year or two ago. I think it was coming out of lockdown. They literally put everything there.
Wow.
I think this was right before, whenever Nagoti Gatwa was launched playing Doctor Who. It was literally like all the Doctor Who's were there on iPlayer, and that's when I watched a load of Troughton and that era. This was written by Robert Holmes. Directed by David Maloney, who was a veteran by this time of Louise Jameson is the companion. And Dr. Holmes, Robert Holmes also wrote a load of episodes of Black 7.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of
He
makes
also
sense,
created the characters of the Sontarans and the Autons.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, the Autons, my God.
I mean, the Autons great.
I sent you a pic from that story because I think it's really iconic on your email.
Can you put it up on here? And then I can stick it up.
Well, I didn't mean to send it for the purpose of the show. I just sent it to you because I thought it would be a trip.
Oh, okay, great Who pick. Oh, right. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's really iconic.
But that's not from this. This is Pertwee era, though.
Yeah, but you mentioned Auton, so that comes from that episode. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
the thing about this one, the Wings of Wang Shang, is Tom Baker. He says in this episode that he says it kind of. I haven't been to China in 500 years. Now, when he says that, he's referring to the first Dr. Wren about Marco Polo. Because there's an episode where story. I sometimes say episode when I mean story. So they go to China, But that story doesn't exist anymore. For whatever reason, the BBC they erased these tapes or what. I don't know what the story is, but a lot of the Hartnell stuff doesn't exist anymore. And I think that's what he was referring to.
Right, that's interesting.
Nice call, though.
I remember there's like a little person. I think that's the correct term I'm allowed to use. Doesn't he crawl up inside the statue of a dragon and starts firing laser beams out of its eyes? Got a very vivid memory of that happening.
Yeah. Very Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
And this was another one as well that got a repeat in feature length form for sure. I think a lot of the Baker era did. I'm going to talk about one of those that definitely benefited from that as well. Interesting. Yeah. Good choice. Anything else you want to say about it before we move on?
I mean, I'm curious as to, what was it that didn't push this onto your top five or
I suppose for me, and this will be self-evident when you see my choices.
Right, okay. Yeah.
I always liked the Doctor Who stories with the more traditional villains, whereas the Talons episode was more of a. It was a bit out. I mean, again, it reflected at the time there was kind of a bit of a drive for, what can we bastardize from Eastern culture and put into a story. There was a bit of that going on.
I know what you're trying to say. You're calling it filler.
No. I didn't think it was filler at all. But there was definitely a case of, okay, can we somehow make sort of ninjas and Chinamen bad people in this story? There was a bit of that going on.
Well, you and I both know what you want.
For me, it was kind of like
curtain open up and you have a Dalek come out.
Look, as a kid, I was watching it and I was like, "Where are the Daleks? Where are the Cybermen?" I've got this guy running around in a really dodgy Fu Manchu tash.
No, I know what you're being. I kind of want the guy to pull a mask off, and there's the master.
I mean, there were some bits of it that were quite scary. This was broadcast in '77, just before Star Wars came out, incidentally. So this is pre-Star Wars. And it was 6 episodes originally. And you had 10 million people watching Doctor Who when this came out. I think 11, nearly 11 and a half watched episode 4. But only 9 million watched the final episode, part 6, when it was originally broadcast. So that tells you that 11 million out of that, all those people watching, 2 million thought fake Fu Manchu tash not a good idea. So, but no, it was a good. I do remember that. I haven't rewatched it recently. I've seen it twice, when original broadcast, and then when it was shown as a feature, whatever it was, Sunday afternoon or whenever that was. That was a few years later. I think what they tended to do was they did that every time they were relaunching a new Doctor. I might be wrong about that, but that's what I
think you're right. It's just to sort of bring people up to speed. But it's funny you mentioned Fu Manchu, because when I last watched this, the first thing I thought was, Fu Manchu, I must get myself some Fu Manchu movies. So I managed to dig out a few of them, find a few online. This is quite a few years ago now, and some old 40s radio series. So, and I still haven't got around to watching them.
Well, I mean, the villain guy in this, who played the Oriental mean-looking bloke with the big tash, he was actually an Oriental actor. In terms of his descendancy, but he was a British Rada actor called John Bennett.
Yeah.
So, very much a lovey. And he was born in Beckenham in Kent. So I think he had some Oriental heritage down the line. But he, you couldn't call him a Chinese actor or, in any remote sense of the word. But he had a villain's face. He played a lot of villains. He was in Blake 7. He actually had a role in The Fifth Element. funny enough as well. He passed away in I think it was 2005. So, but yeah, I mean, I probably need to watch it again, and may well do that. The guy from The Prisoner, who carried the little umbrella, do you remember him? Deep Roy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the actor that played the little Chinese guy in this that went up and operated the laser thing in the dragon's eyes or whatever. And I need to rewatch it. I don't know how long ago you watched this.
For quite some time.
And Deep Roy, by the way, he's still alive. He's still around.
He is.
Yeah.
He was the Oompa Loompas, wasn't he, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, that's right, in the new version. But I think I might be wrong. You'd be able to tell me this, but didn't they orient him up? Didn't he get sort of? Didn't they do a James Bond? You only live twice on his face, and added all these features to make him look more Oriental?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would go down well today. I think Vincent Wong was who was in Diamonds Are Forever and The Spy Loved Me, and sort of played Oriental of the Week in a few things. He was in this as well. So basically, any British actor that looked vaguely ethnic, they kind of roped into this. Tony Fenn was another one who was in this. So, Darth, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Not really. I mean, this is the sort of episode that kind of gets reviled nowadays for reasons that I think we all know and we don't really need to get into.
No. But the script is good.
But it's an excellent story.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on to your choice, which is City of Death, which I have to say I do like. I'll come on to my reasons for that in a minute, but tell us why you picked this, and
well, I got to pick something. This is almost like an essential Doctor Who episode. I mean, it's just really iconic. It's one of the reasons I picked it is because it's standalone. You don't have to do any homework. I like it because it doesn't have these traditional villains in it. So somebody can come in and go, well, what are these things? I would never recommend. Well, with the exception of very few exceptions. That's just a goofy looking thing. It just struck me as a good it was a good story overall because the bad guy, his reasoning, I understand his reasoning, you're almost sympathetic for it, but the end result of what he wanted to achieve, well, you couldn't allow it. So he had to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And
this was story number 105.
Yeah, the way they were trying to presage it forward, like they're in the cafe, and the gentleman kept getting up and giving like Tom Baker the evil eye, and he was drawing something. It's like he was trying to get his attention or something, and he'd get up and he's looking at this hand drawn thing, and he says, "Oh, it looks like a crack in time," and then he had that eureka moment, like, wait, that's what's going on, and it's just a great scene. I love that scene,
this story was co-written by 3 people. The original story was David Fisher, and then it was written by Graham Williams and David Agnew. Do you know who?
Douglas Adams.
It was, yeah. It was a pseudonym for Douglas Adams, who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which might explain the 4-part story, broadcast originally in October 1979. I definitely saw the original broadcast of this. Catherine Shell is in it.
Oh yeah, that was Space 1999.
Yeah, this is pre. I think she did this maybe either before or around the same time. Second season of Space 1999 was probably around 17. No, it might have been earlier because the first season came out either just before or around the time of Star Wars. But Julian Glover is the person who steals this from me.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Good to see you, Lord. Thank you for popping in. If you've got a top 5 list of your favourite Doctor Who episodes, put them in the chat. Yeah, it's a good. David Agnew was a pseudonym for the combined work of David Fisher, Douglas Adams, and Graham Williams. I don't know if they'd worked on a few things together, but
and the whole scene where he goes back to Da Vinci's time and he's writing "This is fake" on all the painting. The whole angle about
that's Douglas Adams.
The different copies of the Mona Lisa. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, that's definitely Douglas Adams' contribution there, I'll say.
This is also the one time where John Cleese made a cameo in Doctor Who. Did you guys know about that?
No.
Yeah, so they were John Cleese and Eleanor Bron were working at the BBC on the day that the art gallery scenes were to be recorded, where they're supposed to be looking at the Mona Lisa and all that kind of thing. And the 2 Englishmen in that scene was basically John Cleese and Eleanor Bron. But he only agreed to doing it on the condition that there was no pre-publicity and so on. And John Cleese also wanted to be credited under a different name. Now, it says that the BBC declined the use of the changed name, but I think, as far as I'm aware, I think they still went ahead and they did their little cameo, just like 1 line each or something like that. We might need to shoot that to see. And then they actually did film in Paris. This is one of the few times where they went on location and
a little bit of guerrilla filmmaking, I think, on the streets of Paris here. Definitely, tiny crew. Let's just get out there, do everything, and then jump in a van and go.
They were really in Paris?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, they've only been to France, I think, 3 times. Doctor Who.
In terms of reality and in terms of storylines, I don't know what the difference is there. Doctor Who very rarely shot outside the UK. This would be one of the few times where they did that.
Yeah.
And it was isn't Lala Ward, who played Romana, second actress to play Romana, Tom Baker and her dated in real life? Am I right in thinking?
They married, in fact.
Yeah. I don't think they talk now, but
no, apparently not at all.
Very acrimonious breakup. You don't need to go there.
Didn't she end up marrying Richard Dawkins?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
but she runs around in a schoolgirl's outfit for a lot of this. And here's an interesting thing. So, she basically she was given a silver catsuit to wear for this.
really?
She clashed with the costume designer Doreen James, and Ward came up with the idea for the schoolgirl costume. And she put, I thought it would be fun to wear something that little girls probably hated because it might cheer them up. I didn't bank on the fact that I would get loads of letters from their fathers saying, "Cool, school uniform!" !
And so begins a fetish.
Indeed, yeah. So,
wait. Go back to the silver suit again.
Yeah, silver catsuit was supposed to be her.
Okay, so basically, so they made that suit and they didn't do it, so they just put it in the trunk and they waited 30 years and they gave it to Jerry Ryan for Voyager.
Now, she married Richard Dawkins in '92, but she divorced him in 2016, and then she married Nicholas Rawlins in 2022. Interesting how those names rhyme, but I'm sure that's a coincidence. So, yeah, but and there's an interesting photograph of here. Never seen this picture before. This is not from Doctor Who, but I'm going to show this because it's kind of interesting. Right, that's her on the right. But if you look at who it is in the middle, that's Kim Cattrall when she's super young.
Wow.
Way before she did Police Academy. Yeah, because Kim Cattrall hails from England. I think a lot of people don't know
Yeah,
that.
she's a Scouser, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah. And that is her in the middle. And that's Lalla Ward on the end. So I think my favourite moment of City of Death is when we see what Julian Glover really looks like when he he kind of turns up at the end. He's got it's on the cover that we showed earlier.
Face reveal.
Yeah, face reveal, or no face as it turns out. And that's that image of him with that really stayed with me. And also the kind of spider-like spaceship that tries to take off at the end and it explodes. That was a pretty cool model as well. So I liked it. It's not in my top 5. It's not in my top 10 either.
Yeah, you're touching on that's one of the best face reveals ever.
Yeah, agreed.
It's actually my number 2. So
okay, well, in that case, mention them when they come up. So it's your number 2. Do you want to add anything more about it now? So talk about it now.
It's very difficult to add anything that's already been said. I mean, for me, it's one of the outstanding and stand out stories of the whole of Doctor Who. Yes. Julian Glover, fantastic. What more can I say about that? But as you say, one of the great reveals as well.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one of your number 2s. I probably should go a bit faster, otherwise it's gonna finish at like 2 in the morning. Okay, so City of Death has scored 4 points on the board. No, 5, sorry, because you get 4 points for the number 2 spot. Okay, well, my number 5, as I mentioned before, was Earthshock. There's a couple of reasons for this, 2 which I'll mention. One is that it was great to see a Doctor Who episode that actually had the balls to kill a companion off. And Adric getting killed was a big deal, you know. And as a companion, it wasn't one of my favourite companions, but at the same time, I didn't dislike him. So it was good, for me, it was a good, it was a good story. The second reason I really rated it was full of action. And as a kid, that was what I wanted. I wanted stories that were full of action. I think there's an updated version of it with slightly updated effects where the lasers don't look so strange that are firing guns, because they sort of had a striped laser ray, which was kind of weird. But I mean, the basic story is, you know, it's mostly set on board a spaceship. It starts off elsewhere. It's mostly set on board a spaceship. And then the people that are carrying that spaceship realise they've got a cargo full of Cybermen who ultimately kind of break out. So there's a lot of action. Now, there's a really massive gaffe in this, which I want to mention, which didn't take it out of it being my choice, but it is a pretty bad gaffe. And that is that there's a team of sort of commandos on Earth who are in these caves that are getting attacked and taken out by this sort of defense robot of the Cybermen. And then later, that team of military guys is led by the actor with the tash, who turned up in a lot of Agatha Christie adaptations at this time. They managed to get into the TARDIS. I think there's about 3 of them left, and one of them gets grabbed by a Cyberman just as they're getting in the door. Now, one of the people that's in that sequence, in that little group, has actually already been killed earlier. I think what happened was they shot it out of sequence and somebody forgot on the continuity, oh, this person's already died. And there was no chance to retake or reshoot anything. So it was just a question of put it in and hope no one will notice. Well, of course, you know, me. And I've watched it many, many times. I like the music in this one as well with the Cybermen March theme. It's kind of ominous and there's a lot of suspense. It's quite scary. Yeah, I just really like it as an episode. It's the only one of Davidson to make it into my top 5. There's some stuff in it that lets it down a little bit, but I do like the fact that they did a remaster of it with better special effects because it really did benefit from that, actually. And as I said, it was. I thought it was very ballsy. You know, they killed off a companion. I always remember his line. You know, now I'll never know if I was right. And then boom, the spaceship explodes. And on the very next episode, which is the beginning of the next story, I think Tegan immediately says to the doctor,
"Yeah, I remember.
Well, we're going to go back in time, and you're going to save him, right?" And the doctor refuses, which I think also was a kind of big thing, was that he wouldn't deliberately go back and try and alter history himself, no matter what had happened.
Yeah, that should have been an Earthshock. That scene should have been an Earthshock.
Yeah, it should have been, really, but it's at the beginning of the next episode. Maybe it was supposed to be originally, who knows. But this is my number 5. Now, I take it this isn't in anybody else's list. Is that right?
I have a very high opinion of this episode, but it wasn't in my top 5.
No, that's fine. Inside Man, you want to add anything about it? Or has he gone for dessert? Might have gone for his dessert.
I'll say this. They actually fire a weapon inside the TARDIS. Now, I think that might have been a continuity at the time. I'm not sure, but there was supposed to be something called something temporal grace that you couldn't actually discharge a weapon. So I'm not sure what happened there.
Dark Elements 7959.
Yes.
I don't recall you crediting and talking in the chat before. So if you're new to the channel, welcome, mate. Great to have you here.
It did have silent credits.
It is, yeah, and I think it is the only time on Doctor Who that they've had silent credits, and it was they held that shot, as Dan Candy says, on Adric's broken star of mathematical excellence. And yeah, it was a powerful ending. It was good. It was up there with the ending of Blake 7. You know, it wasn't as powerful as that.
Do you remember how the star got broken?
Yeah, he pushes it into the cyber leader's chest plate
because it had a gold edge.
Yeah, which and Cybermen don't like that, and that's how he killed him. And I mean, there was a lot of stuff like that was really good, and it was a really violent story. Lots of people get killed.
It's a great story.
Yeah, well, I liked it. Inside Man, are you back from the snack cupboard? Is he still not there? Okay, all right. So that was my number. He must have gone to the bathroom. Gary,
no, the Cybermen March is a great scene. What it did?
Yeah, it is. Really good scene.
It's really iconic. It's
it
might be the best
gunfire going on all the time from the bridge, and you know they're getting a bit closer.
I'm not sure, but it might be.
If you were going to make a Cyberman movie, and you were going to do what they did with the Peter Cushings, and you were going to go back and look at the original stories and say, okay, which one shall we remake as a big budget film? I would do this one.
Yes,
for sure, because it's a great story.
I think it's the best Cyberman story.
Yeah, well, it's my favorite Cyberman storyline because I haven't got any others in my list. All right, so let's move on to pick number 4. Okay, so right, so Darth, what's your one?
Invasion of Time.
Okay, funnily enough, I mentioned that as a near miss for me. Invasion of Time. Okay, so that scores 2 points.
It's a 6.
Inside Man, are you back with us yet?
Yes, sorry, mate. I had a little bit of a mic problem there. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, no problem. Did you have anything you wanted to add about Earthshock before we move on?
No, I mean, I really do like it. I do like it.
Even Beryl Reid is not completely terrible in it. She's
right. No,
she's all right in it. I mean,
yeah,
I did when I watched it. I was a bit like,
yeah,
but she's actually all right in it. She's all right.
It's for me. It's a really likable episode. Look, I wouldn't pass it by. It's not one that I would pass by. I mean, there are plenty that I would. But I certainly wouldn't pass this one by. It is a good story. I was just never really, I could never really sort of engage with the Peter Davidson Doctor. I don't know why. I don't know what it was.
I think probably because we'd all seen him on All Creatures Great and Small, and it just felt.
You're probably right. Yeah.
I know exactly the reason why he's not Tom Baker.
Yeah, that was the main reason. Yeah,
very big shoes to fill.
Very big shoes to fill. Yeah,
I think Davidson did a good job. I when I go back and watch his acting now, I think he's much better than a lot of people gave him credit for at the time.
He's underrated.
Yeah, I think he is underrated. And again, Colin Baker is another one who's appallingly underrated, and and he got very shoddy treatment from the BBC, and also not the greatest scripts. So Inside Man, we were on our number 4 pick. So Darth, Invasion of Time. What's your number 4 pick?
Carnival of Monsters.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I watched. That's what I watched recently, actually.
Yeah. Carnival of Monsters.
That's the one that's got one of the episodes ends with like a miniature Doctor Who Tom Baker staggering out of a sort of like a mouse hole. Is that right?
It's a Pertwee one, isn't it?
Oh, is it a Pertwee one?
Pertwee, yeah.
But is that? Am I right in thinking he gets shrunk in it? Is that the same one? Well, we'll talk about it in a minute. Okay, my number 4 pick is a Tom Baker episode, and it's the Robots of Death. So, I don't know. Now, okay, so we've got Invasion of Time, Carnival of Monsters, and Robots of Death. Has anybody picked any of those titles further down the list?
No.
Inside Man, did you pick Robots of Death? I thought you might.
I did not.
No, okay.
I did not.
All right. So let's talk about Invasion of Time first, Darth. Why did you like this? Why did you pick it?
I always was always more hungry. I was always hungry for episodes that got into the deep lore of where he came from, and how that the power structure, but how that all worked, and what would happen if someone attacked that. So the idea of someone, the Sontaran in this case, attacking that power structure, that singular pylon that gave them pretty much mastery over the entire cosmos, I thought that was a really interesting concept. And I've always been like a history of war guy, and so I like the concept of the Sontarans. And this is a perfect example of a slow roll episode. It's 6 parts, and from 1 through 4, they have a surrogate bad guy. They're called the Vardens. Now, you think that they're the big bad, and you don't really see them. They're kind of like this shot, like this shiny light thing. Kind of weird how they showed it. And you don't really know what the true threat is, and then you have the big reveal, and then you're really off to the races. The action just dials to 11, and I thought it was just really great. Up until this point in time, they only showed just one Sontaran. Like in Pertwee, it was just one guy, and then the
Sontaran experiment, that wasn't it?
No, that was Time Warrior.
Time Warrior, that's right.
Right, yeah. Sontaran experiment was the one with Sarah Jane. That was his 3rd overall episode. And that's kind of a forgettable episode to be forgotten, but it was just one guy. Here, they're showing multiples of them. And I was kind of tripping out over that. Like, oh my God, there's like 4 of them. And And you kind of had the bad guy Time Lord, kind of like the Quisling kind of guy who was kind of in there, like, there might just be a way to help you. And, that's the short story for why I liked it. It just always stuck in my mind as a really iconic episode for me. So it's more of like it hits me here rather than objectively saying, well, this is a great. It's not like City of Death or Pounds of Wing Chun. I can't say that it's not an objectively superior story to those. So you can make a good argument that this should be further down the list. You can make that argument, but for me, this is just an iconic episode. That's why I listed it.
Well, this was story 97. It was originally broadcast in 1978. It was a six-parter, and I think John Arnott was the Quisling guy in it. Was the character Chancellor Barusa, or was it Castellan Kellner was the Quisling
I think it was
guy?
the Castellan.
Castellan, yeah, okay. So sorry, that was Milton Johns. Louise Jameson was Leela, directed by Gerald Blake, again written by David Agnew. So a few credits combined there. This was in my shortlist. This would have been my number 7 or 8. I agree. It's a great story. Milton Johns, who, by the way, is still alive. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, he's still alive. Now, I always remember him, and I might be wrong about this, but certainly he has the same voice and the appearance of the man who played the Candy Man in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is him. I'd have to check his IMDb, but they look and sound really similar. On his Wikipedia page, there's only a partial biography. I mean, I wonder if he's still got all his marbles. It'd be great to get him on here if he was up coming on for an interview. Now, interestingly enough, in 1988 in War and Remembrance, and I remember him in this, he played the role of Nazi SS officer Adolf Eichmann. So, I mean, that role was, he basically was a Nazi in this. I suspect that playing this role is what got him seen for that part. And I think he was Bristol. I think he might have been Bristol Old Vic. Yeah, he was Bristol Old Vic. So another classically trained actor. Good choice. Inside Man, you got anything you want to add about Invasion of Time? Oh, might have mic issues again. We can't.
Sorry, mate. I'm actually holding my mic at a strange angle at the moment, so please forgive me if it cuts out.
Okay, it's a bit like the old TV aerial where you've got to hold
it's like that. I think I need an old.
I'll let you know. I
need a coat hanger. I need a coat hanger. That's what I need.
Right.
But it's yeah. I mean, again, it's a great story. One that I haven't seen for many, many years, actually. Another one that I think I really need to revisit. I mean,
yeah,
these choices of mine were ones that were just plucked out of the air for me. The ones that I recall made the biggest impact on me as a youngster. But I'm glad that you mentioned this because I haven't actually gone down the list. At all, if I'm completely honest. I mean, it's not like I didn't want to do my research, but I had to be completely honest and excuse me, and pull these ones out of my head, because I think if I were to have gone down a list and reminded myself of how good other things were, I think that would have been a little bit dishonest of me to have done that. But my choices were the ones that resonated with me and sort of stuck with me since I was a kid. But yeah, another one that I really would like to revisit. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go for that.
I think consider also the stakes are really high in this. They can't be more higher. You're talking about losing control of time.
Yeah. So there you go.
So what year was this this story?
1978.
1978. Right. Okay.
Yeah, Leah
Yeah,
and K9. Even K9 couldn't take down a Centauran.
yeah, yeah. K9 is in it. I don't think it's not the first appearance of K9, but it's early on. Again, it's another good Sontaran storyline.
Where
Yeah,
what
February
episode would
78.
what story were the Sontarans first introduced? I really can't recall.
Time Lord.
In the Pertwee era.
Mm.
Yeah, that was the very first episode with Sarah Jane.
Yeah, and wasn't that the Time Warrior?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you got the Time Warrior, then you had the Sontaran.
That was, if you think about it, you should rewatch that episode. It's actually a funny episode.
I've rewatched the Time Warrior not that long ago.
He goes in and he's at the dinner table with the Saxons or whoever they were at that period, and they're they have their manners, and essentially they are. And Pertwee, he just rolls with it. He's just eating with his hands, and he just tosses over his shoulder.
Critic Al saying, I wonder how you guys would rank the Doctors. Well, I think all three of us, our favourite is Jon Pertwee. But top Doctors, that'd be a long conversation, but definitely up there for me. Pertwee, Baker, Matt Smith, and the Scottish guy, David Tennant. The four of them for me are the creme de la creme. I do think Colin Baker is very underrated, but I can't pick a Doctor that also didn't have great episodes. They've got to be not just a great Doctor, but also I've got to have enjoyed the era for me to pick them.
Yeah, another thing about this is all the Doctors from beginning to end, they all have their own little idiosyncrasies that really makes them distinct. Yeah, like the second Doctor has the flute, and the third Doctor has he has the car. Remember the car? And
Betsy.
The car, and he had this little judo thing.
Plus, he had a little sort of underwater speedboat thing that turned into a sub.
Okay. And the fourth, of course, you had the scarf and the jet. Would you like a jelly baby?
Yeah.
And the fifth one had the celery on his shirt, and they all had something about them that was idiosyncratic.
Well, let me hand over to Inside Man to talk about his number 4 pick, which is Carnival of Monsters.
Yeah, this one really did stick with me. I think again because of the kind of slightly historical side of things. The them sort of materializing on a ship, and obviously because it has Joe Grant in it as well. That's always going to be a bonus for me. But again, I tend to go for. Not that there's any short of quirkiness. I do tend to go for the more sort of really quirky stories, more so in a strange way. I like the cheapness of this. I mean, it does look very, very, very low budget. It's hard to fathom out what the budget really was for this story. But it is part of that historical thing. I just enjoy any kind of historical references in this. It doesn't always necessarily have to sort of go into some distant future or on some distant planet or materialize on a spacecraft. That was never really what it was all about for me. And I do like the non-traditional villains as well. That's just really why I like this. Why I liked the talents of Weng Chang as well. I can't put my finger on it. Why I genuinely love this one. I just can't. It's one that I haven't seen for many, many, many years. But it's one that I think about with an enormous amount of affection, and that's what I think this show has done, which it doesn't do anymore. You know, you don't have stories where you have an affection for those stories, you know, because of the charm that they display in their production. There is no genuine affection for the stories anymore. They're very sterile. They're very quick cut. We were saying earlier on, I think yourself, Lance, and Darth had said about the pace of stories now, that you'd never get away with the pace of these stories today. They're just not for audiences today. But it's not a particularly fast-paced story, this, but it's one that has stuck with me since I was a kid.
I remember this. Oh yeah, this is the one where they were on the ship and they had the shrunken things down. Oh yeah. So what, among that collection were Cybermen. So Cybermen do appear in Pertwee.
Yeah.
This is a pretty interesting blog about that. Andrew J. Mueller and Roy Barton. I'm guessing this is pretty old, but they've done a little write-up of it. I always remember this guy's costume, who basically looked like he was wearing a load of licorice all sorts. I'm going to put the link for this in the chat. But he had that jacket, and he looked like it was just covered with ginormous licorice all sorts. And I remember, I'm sure I said something along the lines to my mum, why has that guy got a jacket that's like made of sweets? You know, and naturally then wanted to know if there were in fact licorice all sorts that were that ginormous. And then also, now I rewatched this not a million moons ago, because I rewatched all the Pertwee stuff, because when Pertwee first came out, I missed a whole load of it because I only caught the very end of his era. So I had to go back and watch things like Inferno and all that stuff, which I hadn't seen when they were originally broadcast, or when they were.
That there's an honorable mention right there, Inferno.
Yeah,
Inferno's like he's like a mirror, like classic Trek mirror for Doctor Who almost.
But I remember seeing this one and going, when I saw it more recently, probably about 15, 20 years ago, these creatures, they look like they're finger puppets.
Yeah.
You know, they do look a bit strange. I've actually got, I forgot to show this earlier, but I've got this for Earthshock, which I'll show real quick before we move on.
Earth's on red alert. Some interstellar conference.
You said yourself things have occurred you can't explain. Roger!
You have intruders!
Where have you hidden the bodies?
What bodies?
Too many people have died for you to play the fool.
Spider, do you hear me?
Get out of there! Maine and Joyce are dead! Do you hear me?
On this ship we execute murderers.
Earth will be destroyed.
Action and destruction. As a kid, that was what I wanted in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It was one of the first shows I remember. In fact, it might have been the first show that I remember sort of having that psychological thing of, I've got to watch this every week and I've got to be in at a certain time.
Yeah.
And we used to go to the Danish church on Saturday afternoons, and Doctor Who would always show, I think it was at 5:30. I might be wrong, but it's somewhere between 5 and 6 o'clock. And I remember urging my parents to stop chatting in the coffee room, and you know, the Danish lessons were over, and can we get in the car and go home, please, because I want to see Doctor Who. And often we would get in, and you know, I'd run in the room just as the end credits were scrolling up the screen, and I'd missed another one, or I might catch the last 10 minutes. Very rarely did we make it back in time for Doctor Who, and that became like a very huge sticking point. This one I did catch on repeat and then saw it again. I'm sure this is the episode where at one point he's tiny somehow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he staggers
they're all kind of all kind of shrunken down. Obviously it's Carnival of Monsters, so it's slightly dystopian, I think. But it's it's a really quirky one. So you kind of think that you're, I don't know, it's what, a 1920s schooner or something that they materialize on, and you think you're in for something different than you actually believe at the start, and of course it goes pretty haywire. It's good. I really like it. I think it's really charming, a really charming story. But of course, what you were saying actually about the end credits of every Doctor Who, it always ended on a scream, which seemed to blend into the Doctor Who theme, didn't it? There was always a scream. One of the companions would be screaming, and then all of a sudden the music.
Yeah, and it would go.
Woo!
Yeah.
There's always a scream. Yeah.
Well, so you're saying that this episode, this story is has an element of je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. I love it. I really, it isn't the best. It certainly isn't the best, and I can understand why a lot of people would dismiss this instantly and say, this is pretty stupid.
Well, in your case, it's the fourth best.
I beg your pardon?
In this case, it's your fourth best.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, number 4.
Yeah.
I admit I have not seen this episode in 40 years, so I might have to rewatch it just for that.
Yeah.
Before we move on to our number 3 pick, I'll talk quickly about my number 4 pick, which is the Robots of Death. So this was another one.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
This is another one that was repeated a couple of times. It was definitely shown all in one go on a Sunday afternoon, not long after its original broadcast. The basic story is that the TARDIS materializes on what effectively is the same thing as a sand crawler in June, where they're on board this vehicle that's partly manned by humans and partly manned by robot servants, and there's kind of a robot that's rebelling against his slavery and starts converting the other robots to do his bidding. It's kind of got an Agatha Christie vibe about it at the beginning, because at the beginning it's a sort of murder mystery. But I really liked the design of the robots. These masks were very, very effective and quite clever, and it stayed with me. I think it came out, I'll check the broadcast date, but I have a recollection that it came out around the same time as 2000 AD launch.
Right. Okay.
So we're talking 1977, and I think 2000 AD launched in either 77 or 78. And one of the first stories that they did with Judge Dredd was the Robot Rebellion.
Yeah.
So, which I really loved, and it's anything to do with kind of robots or robots doing evil deeds. Kind of as a kid, I was very, very encapsulated by the story. It was written by Chris Boucher, who did a lot of the good stuff. He did The Face of Evil right before this, which was another good episode. Louise Jameson again as Leela on this one. Brian Croucher was in this episode, who would later go on to play the villain in Blake 7. He would play Travis in Blake 7. So it's a good story, and it's one that, again, I've got very vivid recollections of this being repeated on quite a few occasions. And the Sand Miner vehicle apparently was nicked from the Dune universe. That's where they took that story idea from. But
as you say, Agatha Christie, sort of Agatha Christie meets Isaac Asimov.
Yeah. And it's another one that was written up as a book that was written by Terence Dix. And I think I owned the book at one point.
Right, okay.
And Tom Baker's very, very good in this. Very good. Anyone want to say anything about it before we move on?
I don't recall it, if I'm honest with you. I genuinely do not recall this one.
You know, you would definitely enjoy this one for sure. This is definitely a story that holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think it's just got some really good effects. This is like the bridge of the ship. I thought these costumes worked really well. They did sort of very slight variations on the masks.
Yeah.
Very slight. Between the different types of doctors. Plus, you know, Louise Jameson's wearing your favourite outfit in it. So so I'm sure it'll meet with your approval.
Yeah. Yes, please.
I remember this episode for sure.
Yeah, that's creepy.
It was creepy. The whole thing about the red eyes, they don't look like that normally. That the red eye thing is like the murder protocol.
Yeah, the red eyes when they basically converted to become killers or whatever. But it's
headdress there.
it's a good story. So that's my number 3 pick. All right, let's move on. Sorry, that was my number 4. So we're on number 3. So Darth, what's your number 3 story pick?
Horror of Fang Rock.
Okay, I thought someone was going to pick that.
Yeah.
Now that's not on my list though. Inside Man is Horror of Fang Rock either your number 2 or number 1?
It's my number 3.
Oh, so you both picked Horror of Fang Rock?
Yeah, great story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. That you guys have picked a couple of similar choices. So
great mind think alike.
Yeah.
That scores 3 points from both of you and is currently in the lead for the overall pick. My number 3 choice, let me go down my list here. Okay, is from the Pertwee era, and it's the Sea Devils.
Yeah, that's the Master episode too.
Yeah.
I have one problem with that episode though. That it shows the unit, but there's no brigadier. I have a problem with that.
Now, did anybody else pick the Sea Devils for either number 2 or number 1? No.
That's my number 1.
Sea Devils is your number 1.
Sea Devils is my number 1.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Sea Devils in the lead. Okay. I wonder why you were laughing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we both got
Nice
choices
spoilers.
to talk about.
I can't believe it.
Okay. So, right. Well, Darth, I'll let you go first on Horror of Fang Rock. Tell us why you picked it.
Well, it's scary as hell. Right off the top of my head, I mean the spooky lighthouse, the whole atmosphere, just makes you makes you want to just lock all the doors and turn on all the lights. The whole thing about the Rutan, they never showed anything like that before. It was they're like the mortal enemies of the Centaur, so that made it interesting. But that's not why I picked it. It's hard to put into words. There's just something about the episode that really scared the crap out of me. What was he? The lighthouse keeper, the guy that was possessed. He just scared the crap out of me. The way he would walk around with that look on his face, he was like an evil Popeye. Like, oh my god! And
an evil Popeye. I love that.
And he would. People die in this episode. I mean, they die violently.
Yeah.
and the Tom Baker. Look at Tom Baker performance. I think this is the first time, or maybe the only time, where you see Tom Baker with he's kind of rough in this episode.
Yeah.
So
there's a rough edge to him. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly. This was the one that absolutely. It really hits the mark in its scary nature. I think there's something slightly gothic, slightly Hammer about this.
Very Hammer.
It's really one of the most atmospheric stories to have been filmed. Actually, it really is a genuinely scary. I mean, again, I haven't seen it for a while, but it stuck with me. and I can't wait to go and watch this again. Actually, yeah, really creepy. But what a setting! What a setting! I mean, even the title of it, Horror Fang Rock, it sounds like it's a gothic kind of Hammer horror movie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the best titled episodes.
It really is. It really is. But
unlike, say, The Deadly Assassin.
yeah, but I think it's my favorite setting. It's my favorite setting for the story. For any of the stories, it's it really did something to me. This one,
Lila was good too.
Yeah, as always.
Like then that lady just started freaking out, and Lila just slapped her across the face.
This was originally broadcast in September of '77. I think I probably did catch it on original broadcast. Again, it's another one I remember getting. It definitely got repeated, and it topped at 9.8 million viewers in episode 3. And 9.9 in episode 4, and it started off with 6.8. So it started off with quite lower ratings, and obviously word got round. Oh, this one's pretty good. It was also the first Doctor Who episode of season 15. With Louise Jameson as Leela. Also, interestingly enough, it was written by Terrance Dicks. Now, didn't he create the Daleks?
Did he?
Was Terrance Dicks the creator of the Daleks?
No, it was what's his name?
Terry Nation.
Terry Nation, that's it.
Terry Nation, yeah, I often get them mixed up. Yeah. Terrance Dicks did write a fair bit of Doctor Who, but script editor, producer,
not a fan.
children's author. But yeah, guest actors included Colin Douglas, who did the Ruben Rutan voice. You had Sean Caffrey and Alan Rowe in there. It was directed by Paddy Russell. I remember this episode, and it was one of the ones I found quite scary. I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
I haven't rewatched it in quite a long time, and I think a lot of the choices that I picked were sort of for the rewatch value. This is another one that was written as a book by Terrance Dicks. But yeah, good pick that both of you picked for number 3. Anyone want to say anything else about it before we talk about the Sea Devils, which again both of us have
yeah. I mean, this was it was very, very tough, really, for me, with the top 3 to have found which order to put them in.
Right.
I think with this, unfortunately, nostalgia kind of won out in the end with my number 1 choice. But yeah, I love it. I really, really adore this story. Yeah,
it is a good story.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on to my number 3 pick, which is Inside Man's number 1, which means at the minute it scores.
Yeah, I've always liked the Sea Devils, and I'm not gonna lie, when in the fiction that I'm writing, the Sea Devils are kind of an inspiration for something that I'm doing in my story. So they are very, very nostalgic for me as well.
Well, I the Sea Devils episode is one of the earliest that I can remember seeing, and I'll see if I can find it in a little bit. But there was a Doctor Who Weetabix promotion. You might remember this, Inside Man, where there was a board game on the back of the box that, when you link them all together, were 4 sections of 4 different board games, and then you got a strip of like 4 Doctor Who stand-up cardboard characters.
Yeah.
And I remember having one set of those, and I had a Dalek, I had an Ice Warrior, which I'd never seen because they didn't appear until much later. Of course, they were in early stuff, and I had a Sea Devil, and and I think Doctor Who and the Sea Devils with Pertwee was probably one of the first Doctor Who episodes I saw, but I didn't appreciate how good it was until I went back and rewatched it.
Yeah.
When I bought this DVD, which also had Doctor Who and the Silurians, which I'd never seen, and Warriors of Deep, which is famous for the pantomime Horst Merker creature and Rula Lenska's terrible death scene. And also you can see the zips on the back of the Silurian costumes. But otherwise, it's a good story. It's a shame it's hampered by some extreme naff qualities. But the Sea Devils for me was great because you've got Robert Delgado as the master, and he was the best master without a doubt.
I think so.
Yes.
And then you've got this great action sequence at the end where the Sea Devils attack like a British naval base.
Yeah.
And also, like, hovercrafts had just become a thing. I remember that. And I had like some sort of dinky toy green hovercraft, and there's a cool
so did I.
In this. Yeah, you probably had the same one, right?
Yeah, mine was green. It was like a metallic green.
Yeah, metallic green with an orange radar on the top, I think, or black.
I think it had like a sort of a beige skirt or something. Like the skirt around it was beige. Yeah.
I'll see if I can find an image for it. But this is premium. This is a premium Pertwee episode. There's lots of high yars and all that kind of thing. Also, for our entertainment, I've actually got a modern trailer for it. Let's have a quick look.
We're abandoning ship. We're abandoning ship.
Well, you'll be wanting to see the prisoner.
Why, Doctor! Miss Grant.
A concentrated beam of heat?
Deliberately to sink a lifeboat?
Yes. Am I to take it that you're a changed man?
This is our planet.
We're not going to hand over the world to a lot of lizards, you know.
Those reptiles, Doctor, were once the rulers of this earth.
Let me make one final attempt to negotiate.
These apes cannot be trusted.
You have just made them angry. Very, very angry.
Great stuff, and God rest the souls of most of those cast are no longer with us. So, Inside Man, jump in. This is your number one pick. So, have at it.
Oh, I mean, you know, it as a kid, it absolutely blew me away. I just loved. I mean, I loved their entrance. I mean, to have the master in it as well, I think is obviously a huge bonus. But is like their entrance is amazing, absolutely amazing. And believe it or not, the Royal Navy were actually involved in this. They were. The Royal Navy assisted. Yeah.
They allowed them to use stock footage, waived royalty fees, and they were happy with on-screen credits and positive publicity that generated by the show. Many sailors volunteered to help with the filming, and so most of the extras were actual naval-based personnel, except for the stunt.
Interesting. That's cool.
I believe some of it was shot on location at naval barracks as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
But
and Pertwee was a naval man.
No Man Land's Fault, and the naval base in Portsmouth.
Right. Okay.
And there was a little bit filmed on the Isle of Wight, and they also filmed on HMS Reclaim, which was a deep diving submarine rescue vessel.
Wow.
No longer around, sadly.
Do you know? I mean, I know the Pertwee era is kind of quite synonymous with a lot of cheapness, apart from whenever you have Unit and Bessie and all that kind of stuff in. But this one, even as a kid, I think you can kind of identify when something doesn't look quite real. But this one, my suspension of disbelief was very much willing in this one, but I just think they're great villains. They're great great creatures.
Yeah.
I like the design. I really do like the design, but yeah, scared the living hell out of me when I was a kid. Really, really frightened me. And I think it's the ones where there's some kind of real world element involved in these earlier ones that that's what I really liked as a kid. The fact that it was, it felt real world. It wasn't in some, distant galaxy. But this has the biggest nostalgia value for me, above and beyond everything else. But again, a very, very creepy story, and it was very difficult to try and pick the number one out of my top three, but like I say, the nostalgia thing sort of won out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been my number one, because I'll tell you now, the Sea Devils are my favourite villain.
Yeah.
In the top two, they always were. Yeah, when I was a kid.
I thought you said the Daleks were.
I mean, I love the Daleks, don't get me wrong, but for some reason, as a kid, I just thought the Sea Devils were kind of cool.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah.
You notice those things they were holding? They were still using that in Warriors of the Deep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Which was great.
Speaking of which, what year was Warrior of the Deep versus the Sea Devils? That's a long absence.
Yeah, they weren't. You didn't get the Silurians or the Sea Devils in the Tom Baker era.
No. Yeah, the Silurian episode was before Sea Devils.
Now I have found the Weetabix promotion for you guys.
Oh, great!
Let me show you. And there were actually two of these, and I did have stuff from both of them. And Weetabix were very clever. They designed these so that you had the big Weetabix box and you had the small Weetabix box, and they designed the stuff so that they could split the artwork in half, and it would work either as a half poster or as a full thing. Now, there were two. I don't know what the gap was between these two promotions. I think the board game came later. So this is the first one. So basically, these were the boxes. Don't know if I can make this artwork larger. I don't think I can. But you had these sort of different types of planet environments. So this would top right. This would be Skaro. You've got this kind of steaming interior of a volcano. There's like a swamp, a moon. Inside the TARDIS, which that one I definitely had. And I had this stalactite cave one. I think I had this one, and this top right one. People have made replicas of these. Now, these are the stand-up card things you used to get. And they came in these sets of 4. So I definitely had the top right because I had the Sea Devil. I also had this funny robot with the spiky head, an Alpha Centauri, and that came with a Silurian and a Dalek. So I didn't have all of these, but I had some of them. Yeah, and they punched out and they were supposed to stand up. And then the board game set, which I've got here as well. Now, the board game, I collected and I got the whole thing. And I feel like the board game must have come later, because for me to have got all of it, I must have perfected the art of pestering my parents to get shit. So for that to happen. But basically, you got these cards of the various creatures, and this stuff on the left, these were the different sections of the board game. And if you look in the top corner, there's a section of the TARDIS. And when you laid them all out together, you would have 4 ways to travel to the TARDIS. And the idea would be it could be a 4-player game and you'd all set off at the same time. And you got the race through space, the travel through time, escape from the underworld, and discover the lost planet. I had all 4 of these at some stage. I mean, God knows what happened to them. and they're worth quite a lot on eBay now. People are doing reprints of all this stuff, so you know there'll be a fan somewhere. And I had some of these cards. One of the things I remember that was really annoying about this was you would get, you could tell what board you were going to get because you'd pick up the box and you get one that you hadn't got before. But the thing about it that was really annoying was you didn't know which set of the 4 cards you were going to get inside the cereal box. And I ended up with a duplication of about 3 of the same. This one with Omega and the gel guards. I had about 3 of these, and I had the Davros one, and I don't think I had any of the others. So, but I did have all 4 boards. Cool though, isn't it?
It is good, really good.
Do you remember those?
I don't, mate. If I'm completely honest with you, no, I don't. I really don't.
It was a very successful promotion.
I bet it was.
Only topped by the Asterix the Ghoul one that they did, if you ever remember that. And they did a very similar thing with scenes from Asterix. And anyway, let's go down the right rabbit hole with all that.
Yeah, I didn't know about any of that stuff. That stuff was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you Google Weetabix Promotions Doctor Who, actually, I'll put this link in the chat for people in case you want to have a look at it, guys. There's been some comments here. I'll chat. I'll get to some of those in a sec. But there's the link for this. Right. So that was our number 3. Two people picked Horror of Fang Rock. I picked the Sea Devils, which was also Inside Man's number 1. So the Sea Devils is currently in the lead with 8 points, followed by Horror of Fang Rock, which is with 6. Now, number 2 pick for the Inside Man was City of Death. Okay. And Darth, what was your number 2 pick?
Pyramids of Mars.
Say that again?
Pyramids of Mars.
Oh, Pyramids of Mars. Okay. Which we briefly talked about earlier.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that already. Yeah, it's talk about an episode where the setting and the atmosphere was very exciting. It's really a trip to see all that stuff. The whole Egyptian motif has always been a winner for me.
Well, we'll come back to it in just a sec. Okay. I'll tell you my number 2 pick.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Is the Day of the Daleks.
Yes.
That's my number 2.
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in a second, but let's okay. So we've talked about City of Death already. So Pyramids of Mars was on Inside Man's shortlist as well.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
Mentioned it earlier. So we'll cover it in more detail now. But Darth, you go first. Why have you picked it?
Well, like I said, it's the Egyptian motif has always been a winner for me. I thought that there was that was one of the, in terms of a standalone bad guy, that might have been the most formidable bad guy that we ever saw in Doctor Who. The guy could just do almost anything. Out of these Osirians or whatever they're called, you don't mess around with these guys. I did the whole thing about the archaeologist was somehow it almost reminds me of Phantasm, the like the tall man. He kind of reminds me of that kind of guy. He used to be an ordinary guy, and then he was co-opted, and he was like the spokesperson for something that was beyond this world. And he would just the creepiness about him just reminded me of Phantasm. And I like that, and the mummies were okay. they're certainly very sinister. I kept thinking that they were football player mummies.
Yeah, I can see that. I always remember they had these very imposing chests.
Yes, like I said, football player mummies.
Yeah.
Or sumo wrestler mummies.
Yeah, I mean, they were very creepy. Again, I was quite young when I saw this, and
like I said, the sinister air of the whole episode is really what hooked me. So it's really a nostalgia thing for me. It may not be objectively the best story, but there's just something about it that I just think is really iconic. The whole thing about they tried to Sarah Jane tried to use the rifle to blow the thing up, and they couldn't do it because the bad Sutek, the bad guy, was not allowed. His mind wasn't allowing him to do it. So, well, we have to go back and we have to go find the guy and distract him. What a crazy plot! But no, I don't want to bloviate. That's what I have to say about it.
Yeah. No. Okay. Inside Man, did you want to add anything that you didn't say earlier?
Yeah. I mean, I know that it's such a revered story, isn't it? This one. I mean, it's one of the most
definitely
revered.
a fan favorite.
Yeah, it really is. And I understand why Darth has actually put this so high on the list, and I understand why people love this so much. But I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time. It didn't. This sounds awful, and I'm sorry to all of those Doctor Who fans out there, but it didn't make that much of an impact on me.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's I don't know why.
It was also it's near miss too. Like the guy almost came through the portal to our world. I mean, he's like literally right there. He just kind of no, sorry, push it back.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciated it more when I watched it all in one go than episodic. It wasn't as impactful, I guess, again, because for me it didn't have the regular villains, who were these mummy people. Don't think they impacted me in the same way. But I liked it. I like it more now than I did when it came out.
But again, I think what doing this has done for me personally is, listen to you both, both of your choices throughout the top 5 and even the ones that were bubbling under for the honourable mentions. It really has prompted me to go back and seek these out again, give them another watch. Because maybe maybe I need to give an awful lot more of these a reappraisal and not focus too much on the nostalgia thing. But it's very, very difficult for me.
Yeah, that's true. If I rewatched all this stuff, I probably have a different top 5. But I'm just giving you how
Well, the villain Sutek, who was voiced by Gabrielle Wolfe, returned to the series 49 years later in the 2-part story.
What?
The Legend of Ruby Sunday and the Empire of Death. That story was in 2024, and I'm afraid I'm not aware of any episodes in that year.
Sorry, not canon.
Yeah. Not canon.
Not canon.
I mean, there may have been some Doctor Who broadcast in 2024, but I'm afraid I did not see it.
I've never heard of it.
As far as I'm concerned, it's fan fiction.
Fan fiction. Yeah. I mean, it's it was directed by Paddy Russell, written by Robert Holmes and Lewis Griefer, who co-wrote it together under the pseudonym Stephen Harris. I guess when people co-wrote shit, I don't know. There was a lot of that going on,
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was predominantly shot on the Stargroves estate in Hampshire, a Victorian mansion noted for its ornate Gothic revival style of architecture, which was owned by none other than, at the time of filming, Mick Jagger.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he owned the house at the time. I bet he got, he probably said, yeah, you can film here, but, give me a bit of that low-budget location fund. In an even more camper voice than that. Several scenes were deleted from the final broadcast. A model shot of the TARDIS landing in a landscape of barren alternative 1980s Earth was to be used in part 2, but Paddy Russell decided the viewers would feel more impact if the first scene was the doors being opened, so they didn't use that model take. So that's interesting. And then there were various other bits that were cut out because they felt that the shots weren't good enough.
That makes sense.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
makes sense more than the other one, because they were very, very economical, weren't they? Let's face it, as economical as you can possibly be. And when you see some of the shots that did make it into some of these shows, so I think, well, you know, why?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but they're nice little curiosities if they happen to appear on any of the DVD or Blu-ray extras.
Indeed.
If you look at that picture there, the mummy, they do seem very top heavy, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm sure I remember as a child saying to my mum, "Why have these strange bandaged people got such massive boobs?" Before I realised the benefit of the object.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, I appreciate Dan Candy your comment in the chat.
Not this one, not Pyramids of Mars. That's regarding something else.
Okay, I want to hear about Day of the Daleks. Come on.
So
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was a creepy episode.
So all right, so we'll move on to Day of the Daleks, which is my number 2 pick from the Jon Pertwee era. It's the second one I've picked of that era, and
it's very underrated episode, very underrated story.
And it went through a modern treatment, and I think the modern treatment of it is excellent. And they even filmed new scenes for it, which I really liked, or shots rather than scenes. Let's have a quick look at it. Hang on. Yeah, you might notice a common theme with my choices, which is that they have a lot of action. But for my money, this is one of the best Dalek stories. It's definitely got the best action sequences. And what they did with the DVD remaster is it was actually the people on the production team that were still alive, and I think that it was including the original director. They said, well, we never had the budget to do that big battle at the end properly. And what they did was they went back to the location. So they went back to the house where they shot it. They shot a load more footage of Daleks and Ogrons attacking the house and of people from UNIT getting killed. And they made all the impact hits very modern. So like people's bodies disintegrated and the effects were all modern. It's a great story. And the Daleks weren't even originally supposed to be in it. That was a last minute change. It was going to be Doctor Who versus the Ogrons. But there's like a time portal that's near this house where this peace conference is going to be, and the Daleks and the Ogrons are coming back from the future to attack it, to change the course of Earth's future. So it's a great story.
It is.
Yeah, I really like it. Directed by Paul Bernard, written by Lewis Marks. I was not around when it was first broadcast, and I don't think it was repeated when I was in my childhood. I didn't see it in its entirety until it came out on DVD, and I've watched both the original and the updated version. I much prefer the updated version, but it was originally broadcast in '72.
Oh, I was around when it was first broadcast.
Right. Okay. You were in your 20s then.
I was in my early 40s. Yeah.
Dropmore House was the location for the peace conference, and then I don't know if you remember, but in this storyline, when they go back to the kind of the Dalek planet where humans are prisoners and stuff, the complex where they're being worked to death, which is 2 massive tower blocks, is actually Brenton Towers that was from Brentford, used to kind of portray the controller's futuristic base where slaves are working. So no change in reality there. Yeah. But yeah, this is another one as well. And I remember this. I used to own the book for this. And again, it was a book full of action, you know, so I've only got a little image of it here, but I thought it had a very cool cover. Really liked that cover.
It's a great sci-fi story.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one. Inside Man, did you want to add anything about it before we go to our number 1?
I know this is probably the most ridiculous thing that I've said all evening, and that is I cannot remember this story.
Definitely watch it. Watch the updated. In fact, if you go on Amazon, you can probably buy the DVD.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You won't regret it. It's a good one. And all the supporting cast in it are very good. There's some very big 70s moustaches in it, which you should.
Oh yeah, I'm going. When you show me a 70s moustache, and that's it. I'm there.
Right, exactly. Thought that would appeal.
That's it. That's my appeal.
That brings us to number one. Now we know you're number one.
I want to say something about the Daleks.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. The story, the basic premise of these people coming from the future to the present to prevent their future from happening. This was done before in the X-Men when Bishop went back in time to prevent the creation of the Sentinels, and the Sentinels controlling the world. So the stories are virtually identical.
Okay. Yeah, 2000 AD did a strip which was also a direct rip on that, where the person that went back in time to stop a war from happening accidentally caused the war to start in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know who did the story first, but the idea behind it is it does seem to work, and it has been done a number of times. I mean, the Terminator is almost like a flip the script of that, where Skynet wants to preserve the future instead of change the future by killing the the story. I don't need to tell you the story, but it does have that element in it. For that reason, I think it's a great sci-fi story.
Well, again, if you haven't seen Day of the Daleks, definitely recommend it.
I do.
It's a really good Pertwee episode. It has got, the one thing I'm not a massive fan of with the Pertwee era is the music. That kind of electronic music had just become a thing, and you've clearly got guys in the studio going, let's use it to underscore emotional beats.
Yeah.
So you have these really odd kind of sort of twangs going off left and right.
Yeah, it may not be one of my top 5, but I'm glad you mentioned it, because if neither of you had mentioned it, I would have said at the end that I really got to say Day of the Daleks might be one of the most underrated stories that's ever happened.
Really good one.
Yeah.
And there's a great making of online on YouTube as well about them kind of remastering it, shooting the shots, and they really did a good job of making those shots match up with the existing footage. In fact, I might be able to show. Fuck it, I'll probably get a copyright strike for it, but I'm going to have to edit out. I'm going to have to edit out the trailers I've shown anyway. I'll show you a quick Day of the Daleks. There's quite a few variations that people have made of their own for this as well, which they've added lots of extra bits and pieces. Let me have a look. I don't know if that's the official. Hang on. Let's find the official version. Don't want to add up someone's nonsense on here. Maybe that is it. Well, this will give you. This is just 30 seconds. So this is on the special edition. Well, according to this clip, it's from the special edition. When he got hit there. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah. So that's what the updated version is like. Okay, so number 1. So Inside Man, your number 1 was Sea Devils. Darth, what's your number 1 pick?
Well, I think people can see this coming a mile away.
Yeah, I think I can.
Genesis of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, that is my number 1 pick, joint with Dalek Invasion of Earth, the movie. Because I really, really love that film, and I've got the Blu-ray and so on. But Genesis of the Daleks as well is the first time I can remember watching a full Dalek story on TV, and they also, as a kid in that version, they also scared the shit out of me. Let's remind ourselves why this was so good.
Daleks. We foresee a time when they will have destroyed all other life forms and become the dominant creature in the universe.
We'll wipe the Thals from the face of Skaro.
Who is this Davros?
Our greatest scientist.
He took living cells and produced the ultimate creature.
Living creatures without conscience.
He's ready to sacrifice everything and everyone.
You must destroy them. You must complete your mission for the Time Lords.
Genocide.
You have changed the future of the universe, Doctor.
I have betrayed the future.
We will emerge as the supreme power of the universe!
Yeah, it's a great origin story as well for kind of how the Daleks came to be and the never-ending war on Skaro and all of that. Darth, jump in.
Oh my God, where do I begin with this? There's a it starts off with a World War I motif, and it runs throughout the entire story. The minefield, the battlefield is the entire. There's a stalemate going on, like the Khalids and the Thals, and they want to break the stalemate. That is, in a nutshell, the First World War. For 4 years, it was an absolute stalemate, and everything they did on both sides was to break that stalemate. And they're putting that here in Genesis of the Daleks. And Davros creates the Daleks to break that stalemate, and boy does he ever. So that. Like I'm a World War I guy, so that's a big plus for me. But aside from that, man, the backup characters, like the scientist that wants to help the Doctor, he's a great character. I love that guy. They killed him off. What a way to go out. That henchman Niter, that guy's got SS written all over him, Gestapo written all over him.
Yeah.
And remember that one line he said, just like, I'm telling you, there's something different about these people. And he's like, we'll find out what's different from them through autopsy. It's great sinister line. And I'll tell you, yeah, look at it. It's the genesis of the Dalek, that's true. But here's the thing, I'm not a Dalek guy. I actually dislike the Daleks for the most part. As I said at the top of the show, I think they're kind of one note. And the Cybermen are more interesting. The other things are more
quite literally.
Yeah, they are. They're literally one note. That's why I don't like them. But this is a great episode, not because I like the Daleks. And Davros, here's the thing. This is the only depiction of Davros that I like. I don't like any other depiction of Davros because I think that when you bring him back, you ruin the story. He should have died then and there. It would have been the perfect ending for him. Perfect ending. But they ruined it when I bring him back. And they kept bringing him back over and over again. They turned Davros into like, they tried to make it like, Bond and Blofeld or Mr. Evil and Austin Powers. It's like, stop it. He has the master. He doesn't need another guy chasing him throughout the entire timeline. Oh my God. His original depiction is absolutely perfect. Everything else is just a meme. It's like a meme. It's like his character. It's like a caricature of the original guy. I'll conclude that. I don't want to bloviate too long. I'll conclude with this. The best scene in all of Doctor Who, I'm talking about from beginning to end, and the second best scene in all of Doctor Who from beginning to end, both of which occur in Genesis of the Daleks, in no particular order. That one scene is where Tom Baker's sitting there, and they're having that conversation with Davros about the Daleks are evil. The things that are inside the machines are evil. That don't be ridiculous. They're not evil. After they've conquered all their life, there'll be peace. When the Daleks reign supreme, there'll be peace. And Tom Baker looking at this guy like he's absolutely crazy, which he is. And he poses the hypothetical question: if you had a vial, and you could just squeeze your fingers and break that vial, and you could destroy all life, would you do it? And Davros is kind of rolling around the room, thinking to himself about it. And he's like, yeah, I would do it. I would do it. And that's when Tom Baker realizes that he has to stop this guy. That's a great scene. Just go on YouTube and watch that scene. That scene is top tier. That's top shelf right there, that scene. The other great scene I want to mention before we move on is the scene where he's standing there with the wires, the explosives are set, and he's like, I can do it. This is the moment where he can actually do it. He can end it right then, but he doesn't do it. He's saying, do I have a right to do this? If I do this, am I any different from them? Now, of course, there might be someone in the chat saying, do it. Fair enough. But no, this is a very real philosophic question. Do I have the right to do this? And think about how the galaxy changes with the Daleks. Yeah, the Daleks are evil. Yes, they bring destruction. But what kind of alliances form because of the Daleks? What kind of other wars end because they set aside the difference because of the Dalek threat? These are valid questions, and it's like the entire story. He doesn't think about these things at all, and then all of a sudden he has like this brain explosion, this eureka moment. Like, well, wait a second. If I do that, all these other things, and you know what I'm talking about. Those things.
It's owning the Bond ripple effect. You make one decision for them, you change a whole load of other things that happened or
that's right.
are going to happen.
That's a valid point, and it's very philosophical.
Yeah, I mean, it is the only story that really poses these kinds of philosophical questions. I can't think of any other episode, certainly none of the episodes that we mentioned, that poses this incredibly important philosophical question. And the moral dilemma that he is placed in.
It
is great. It is great, and I hadn't forgotten about this story, but my reasons for my choices were my reasons for my choices, and that doesn't take anything away from this being an absolute standout story from all of them, from season 1 right the way through to the newer ones, and right the way through to the non-canon ones. But yeah, it's an incredible piece of work. Fantastic writing, as Darth says. Just truly fantastic writing, magnificent.
Yeah, I mean,
the pinnacle of Doctor Who.
It was my introduction to the Daleks. I watched it again. I always remember the scene where I think is it Sarah's the companion in this?
Yes,
one?
It is. Yeah, Sarah Jane. Yeah.
Her and another guy that have managed to escape with some others. They're climbing up like the inside of a rocket launch tube.
Yeah. That's a great scene.
It's a great scene, and like all of the people that are trying to get up there with them to get out of the silo are all getting shot.
Yep.
And it ends up just being him and her. And I mean, there's also the scene where Baker goes into the room and we see the Khaleds in their natural form, and they're basically that green ooze, and you've got that really weird sort of sound, like that. They make that weird noise, but it was really creepy when I saw that as a kid. Basically, they were like giant bogies that were going to attack you. No kid wanted to get attacked by a giant bogey, let alone a Dalek. And I mean, this was one of the. I think this was the first time I saw the Daleks, because I didn't see the Pertwee Dalek storyline until after I'd seen some of Baker, because the Daleks weren't in the final season of Pertwee, which is what I saw first. So
that's true, they weren't.
It really stayed with me, and when you rewatch this one, even though some things about it, like all Doctor Who of this era, are dated, as Darth says, the story, the acting, Baker's in his prime in this as well. It's one of the best Baker storylines because he really got to act and have fun. You could tell he was having fun with the role by this time. And the actor who played Davros, we should give him a shout out. I mean, Davros has been played by various actors, but I don't think anybody ever topped this performance.
No.
I don't mind Davros coming back, but I do agree with you that every time you brought him back, his impact was diminished. And I mean, they would say that about various villains, which is why we went for a long time without seeing them.
It's look at the end scene for Davros in this story is absolutely Shakespearean. It's perfect, and they ruined it when they bring him back.
So Michael Wisher played Davros in this one. First actor to play Davros, I think.
Wisher.
He played various roles in Doctor Who, but this might have been the only time he played Davros. I think just the one time. There was
a company that I did some work for many years ago. I'm talking about the late 80s, called Artem Visual Effects, that were based in
God, I remember Artem. They're still going.
Yeah. I think so, because Artem had the huge shark sticking out the roof, if you remember.
Yeah. I had a meeting with them at one point.
And I was doing some work on a title sequence for I think it was something like Time Watch or Time Shift or one of no. What was it? Oh, I can't remember. Can't remember the name of it was a BBC show anyway. But we were doing this. Of course, I remember. It was Horizon. Remember Horizon?
Yeah.
The documentary series. So we were doing a title sequence.
It was a little bit like Tomorrow's World, but a bit slicker, wasn't it?
Yeah. And on the shelf in one of the workshops was the original Davros prefabricated head from this era, from the Baker era.
Cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I said, do you mind if I have a little bit of a look at that? I said, yeah, go on. It was one of those things I thought, God, I just didn't bring a bag with me today. But yeah, it's a lovely thing, really lovely thing.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he might have been the first proper villain that I saw on a TV show, because I can't recall watching any TV show regularly before Doctor Who. I think the next one after Doctor Who was probably Grange Hill, and then the next one after that was probably The Professionals for me. And there were probably various other little things, but Doctor Who is the first TV show I can remember, like, I've got to be in at a certain time, I've got to see this show. And it wouldn't matter if it was like hot summer's day and we were allowed to stay out until 9 o'clock playing in the school holidays or something. I would be indoors ready to watch Doctor Who at the appointed time.
Yeah.
This is Davros the deodorant.
No.
When they brought him back in this is in the Remembrance of the Daleks, Sylvester McCoy. That's when Sylvester McCoy cuts him off with the line, yes, endless rice pudding. We've heard it all before. Which was quite funny. But I when I saw this thing, I thought, I bet Davros is going to be in that. As soon as I saw it, I thought, well, there's something in there. It's got to be Davros, isn't it? And I think this is more like the genesis of the Daleks era. So, yeah.
The thing is, in the original story, he's just a scientist. He's not even a leader that wants to break the stalemate. He's like, my invention is going to get this done. He's not even really a true villain. He just looks really like beat up and incapacitated. But as the story goes on, he just gets diabolically crazy. And those thought experiments with Tom Baker proves it. When you get beyond this story, beyond into the future, he's just He's just a one-note villain. He's not. That's why I said they should have just left it here.
Yeah, I would agree. He's a much more interesting.
Yeah, much
villain.
more. He has real motivations here. You know what he wants, and the other thing, he's like, I don't know what he just a bad guy. He just had bad guy written on his name tag.
Well, before we begin to wrap up, we're going to briefly talk about the Peter Cushing films. I can tell you that regardless of them, our score is as follows. Number 1, Genesis of the Daleks with 10 points. Number 2, the Sea Devils with 8. And number 3, Horror of Fang Rock with 6. So between us, those are the top 3 scoring episodes.
That's terrific.
So we'll talk about this real quick.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Doctor Who, and this is my time and space machine, TARDIS. Off we go. It is capable of taking us to any age, on any planet, in any universe. Rather exciting, isn't it? Daleks! You will be exterminated! They are protected, and they have weapons which can destroy.
What are we going to do?
Exterminate all resistance! I fight them! Nothing can stop us now!
So, both films directed by the late Gordon Flemyng, wonderful director, father of my good friend Jason Flemyng. I saw Invasion of Earth, like I said, some sort of Saturday morning matinee. I also remember it being on a Sunday afternoon, fairly around the same time. So I got to see it in twice succession. The first film, I vaguely remember that we went to some screening and we were late and we only caught like the last 20 minutes of the movie, which I was extremely upset about. But we did get let into the cinema to watch it, and I don't think we had to pay. But I've always favoured the Invasion of Earth movie over the first film. I think partly because I love these iconic shots. I really like the Dalek ship, which we don't get in the first movie. I love the model work of that ship, the way it's got the rotating section. And I love that iconic shot of the Dalek coming out of the River Thames, which they actually did do for real in the Thames. Most of this was shot on the back lot of Shepperton, I think, including the set for this whole battle when they try to take over the Dalek ship as well is great. I quite like the zany music as well. I know some people really don't like it, but I like it. The opening score, because I've got the Blu-ray of this, and you pop it on and it's like da 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 da. It's all very like upbeat and over the top. But I kind of like it. And this model is just brilliant. I wonder if this model still exists somewhere.
Yeah. Do you know who did the model work on this as well?
I don't think it was Meddings, but I'll have a quick gander at the credits. Let me have a look. But yeah, I mean, and this is a film that I will quite happily just pop on any Sunday afternoon. I'm feeling a bit restless. Let's put on Dalek Invasion of Earth. And I'll tell you another thing as well. It's a great movie for someone to watch who knows nothing about Doctor Who but wants some kind of intro to the world of Doctor Who.
And it's a great adventure. It's a really, really good adventure story. I think the Daleks are absolutely at their best in this. I just love the look of them.
Yeah,
I love what
the colours really pop on them.
Really beautiful.
I have to watch it.
Have you not seen it?
It's great.
No, I saw the first one, not this one.
Yeah, the first one is okay, but I don't think it doesn't stand up as well because you've got the Thals in it with their blue skin and their kind of blonde wigs, and they look like the people out of the Time Machine.
Yeah,
I saw it back in the 80s on regular TV. I couldn't believe my eyes. Seriously, I was sitting there gawking at the TV, and I was like, Grand Moff Tarkin as Doctor Who?
he's pretty cool in it though.
Yeah,
he is.
You
see, I didn't know at that time that what a diverse actor he really. I just knew him from Star Wars. I didn't realize how a diverse an actor he really was until I got older. Like, damn, he was in all kinds of stuff. Right?
Yeah,
great horror movie legend. Yeah, he's really a legend.
So anyone that's saying that this isn't canon, or in fact it came up in the chat earlier, as myself and the Inside Man were talking about, the connection between this universe and the TV is the character that Bernard Cribbins plays, who's a policeman who's trying to stop a burglary, and he ends up running into the TARDIS, which is a great way for the show the movie to start. And,
he goes into the police box,
and he is playing that same character when we see him later as I think he sells newspapers, doesn't he, in the TV show?
He's the Catherine Tate character whose name I can't recall. It's her father, I think, or
that's right,
grandfather or something. Yeah,
and I like a number of the people in the supporting cast. You've got Ray Brooks, who sadly passed away recently. I tried to get him on for an interview, like for the last 3 years I've been writing to him, but I mean, he may have been in poor health, I don't know. But he did the voice of Mr. Ben, the children's TV.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And he's great in this, and he's got that really soft voice, and he's kind of, this is at the height of his sort of, Mersey beat, good-looking boy sort of era. But he married Sadie Elcom in 1963, and I think he was with her his whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, and passed away from dementia in August of last year. So I guess that would explain why.
Terrible.
Shame. But good innings. Philip Maddock, who's the guy that betrays them, I really like him as an actor as well. So he's great in this. I can't see. There's nothing about the special effects on the Wikipedia page. So let me have a quick look. On the
lovely. It is a lovely miniature, actually.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. The girl who played of the cast, Roberta Tovey, who played Susan, the doctor's granddaughter. She is still around. And I have reached out to her before about coming on for a chat, but I have a feeling that might be quite harmful on the wallet. But if she's willing, I'd love to get her on. Art director was George Provis, set decorator Maurice Pelling, but special effects Ted Samuels, and visual effects Gerard Larn. So so Gerard Larn was the matte painter, so he painted like that matte that we saw in the previous photo. There's no one credited specifically for miniature work, so I wonder if I don't know if Ted Samuels would have done it. Maybe he did special effects for a load of British films, but he did the other Doctor Who film as well. So I think it was a lot of the same crew on both movies.
Of course, you did an interview with a guy who did the amazing making of books, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah, I did. I think he would probably know, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would know. He would absolutely know. Yeah. There's a fantastic book about the making of both movies. I've got it on the shelf behind me. It's written by John Walsh. There's a great interview with John Walsh on the channel. Thank you for reminding me about that. I forget which industry interview it is. It's probably around 50, and there's 140 of them to choose from.
But I've got my Doctor Who attire on at the minute. I'm actually wearing a waistcoat and a scarf. It's true.
I'm wearing a Bertie Bassett outfit at the moment, so I look like a giant licorice all sort.
Let me like that guy. So here you go. Look, I've got a scarf and a waistcoat on. I'm
nice.
This is the Dalek book, and John Walsh. I think he's. Oh no, we haven't physically been in the same space yet, so he hasn't been able to sign it for me. But it's one of these big coffee table books, and it's it's got everything in here. I might have a quick look in it to see if there's anything about the miniatures. But Darth, it's interesting that you haven't seen this. Inside Man, do you know where you were when you first watched it?
Yeah, I just wanted to point. Oh, go ahead.
No, please, mate. Go on.
I just wanted to point out that that's an ordinary sized book, and Lance is just really small.
That's right. Yeah, I'm actually miniaturized like a carnival of monsters right now.
Yeah, but it's I mean, I can't remember entirely. It could have been at the Saturday morning pictures, or it could have been on the television in the early 70s. I can't recall, but I know that the version that's available, that's now on Blu-ray and DVD, possibly due for a 4K release, the print, the quality of the picture is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, it's very good.
Even when it was released on VHS back in the early 90s, the quality even then was so good, and I couldn't believe how good it was. Beautiful print in full anamorphic widescreen, really amazing picture. But I agree with you, Lance. It's the second movie for me is the one that does it. Daleks Invasion of Earth. That's the better one, I think.
Yeah, I think the only reason that it didn't do as well as the first is because I suspect the first one disappointed a lot of people. It's okay, but it's just a bit naff. And the action at the end of it is very tepid. There could have been a lot more to that. I'm looking through the book quickly to see if there's anything about the person who did the model of the saucer. But again, they've got the guy that did the matte paintings, but I can't see anything on yeah, sadly nothing on the guy that it probably does get a mention. I'll write to John actually and see if he can shed light on that. Someone's probably got it in their loft somewhere.
yeah. Oh God, what a thing to have.
Yeah, well, we're gonna wrap it up there. It's 20 past.
Let me ask something. Which doctor is he? The Peter Cushing doctor?
My interpretation of this is that because both the stories are from the William Hartnell era, they were just remade into feature films. Yes, I do remember Bernard Cribbins on Jack.
Well, there was a Dalek Invasion of Earth in the Hartnell era, so this is a remake of that.
Yeah, it's a feature film version of that story, pretty much exactly.
Okay, so Susan's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I actually know the story. I just have to.
Yeah. So my interpretation of this is it is canon. It's the same story done on a bigger budget with a different actor playing that version of the Doctor, but obviously it's a different actor, so it's that actor's interpretation.
No,
I actually prefer Peter Cushing's Doctor over William Hartnell's.
All right. So 3 different actors have played the first Doctor then.
That's right. Yeah.
That's my interpretation.
Oh no, 4 different actors have played the first Doctor.
Who are the fourth? Who's the fourth one?
There's the one that was in the I can't remember the name of the Peter Capaldi story.
Who That's right. And then there's also the one in the Five Doctors.
That's right. I already know. Yeah, that's the one I was calling attention to, because that's not William Hartnell.
No, it's not, because Hartnell had passed away by then. That actor did a really good job, though.
He did, yeah.
Right, but that's three guys. Who the
David Bradley. That's right.
David Bradley.
Yeah, David Bradley.
Hartnell, Bradley, and Cushing. Who's the fourth one?
The guy that was in the Five Doctors. Three Doctors. Three Doctors. And Five Doctors. Was he the same Doctor in Three Doctors and the Five Doctors?
No. Hartnell was in the Three Doctors.
No, Hartnell was in the
Three Doctors. Sorry, in the Five Doctors.
That was right before he died.
Yeah.
But the guy in the Five Doctors was a Hartnell lookalike, but it was a different actor.
Yeah,
wasn't it the guy?
Okay, go ahead.
No, got me.
No, the reason why they showed Hartnell the way they did in the Three Doctors is because he couldn't. He was at a point in his life where he couldn't remember his line, so that was the only way they could incorporate him into the story.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it would have been more interesting to actually see him ambulatory and walk and physically present with Jon Pertwee. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, he was in quite poor health by then. I mean, David Bradley played him in The Adventure in Time and Space, which is the story of the origin of how Doctor Who got made, and that's a great little film. If people haven't seen it.
I did actually do a little bit of work on that, which was
good, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, very good. Soundtrack is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soundtrack.
Yeah, brilliant. And I really liked the actress who played Verity Lambert.
Oh my God, she was amazing. Yeah.
And I met her. She came to see. Now, was it my first? I think she came to see my play about Hillsborough.
Yeah.
Because somebody got her along, and I got introduced. I remember getting introduced to her, and somebody just said, "Lance, this is Verity Lambert," and I said, "Oh, great, fantastic! Nice to meet you." She's a producer, and we had a very short conversation before whoever was the mutual friend took her along to meet other members of the cast or whatever. And I just remember sort of thinking, oh, she was very nice, but didn't think anything more of it. And it wasn't until somebody said, yeah, that was Verity Lambert, as in Verity Lambert, who kick-started Doctor Who. And I was like, oh, I would have had so many Doctor Who questions. Oh, no, really? But
we'll be here all day.
Yeah, it was right after the play, and she passed away in 2007. But yeah, she was the actress that played her. I'm going to look her up. Really liked her portrayal.
Lovely actress.
I thought she nailed her really well.
All right, we could be here all day talking about this.
Yeah. Adventure in Space and Time. God, that came out in 2013. Oh,
yeah.
Life was very different then.
They put
Jessica Raine played her, and Leslie Manville played Heather Hartnell. I thought Jessica Raine was superb in this.
Yeah, it's quite lovely actually. Yeah.
What did you do on it, Inside Man? Did you do some of the effect work or?
No, I was coordinating the some of the second unit and first unit, but it was over at we did a lot of stuff over at the actual BBC Television Centre.
That's right.
That was when it was actually winding right down. There was still stuff going on, so we still had the reception area and everything that was still working and operational.
They started to convert it into flats, didn't they?
Yeah. So the offices were starting to, and the studios were starting to be emptied. Just prepping everything up. And what a sad time that was. It's quite gutting, really.
I mean, I always thought that was a really odd decision. Why did they?
Me too.
Because I mean, it was self-contained. I mean, if at the end of the day they were selling. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a prime property location. They sold it off purely for money.
Yeah.
But when you think that it's a publicly owned body, well, surely, surely that shouldn't be the primary concern. And they could have just rented out units on it or something. I don't know. Just when I found that they were selling it off, and because you used to have the canteen building was on the other side of the road. Do you remember?
Right. Yeah. and the famous BBC canteen.
Yeah, ate in there a couple of times.
Yeah, but it's I mean, it was a nice place to work when it was a fully functioning television studio and hub, if you like. It was a lovely place to work, and of course, you know, the only people that you'd really sort of bump into would be news presenters and that kind of thing. So you'd see them sort of walking around, but you'd never really sort of bump into any actors. But yeah, I did a few bits and pieces over there. But the Adventure in Time and Space was the last thing that I did there. It was quite nostalgic, actually.
Yeah. Good to see that you also remember the Weetabix games and stuff. Yeah.
It's also a fair game.
Somebody is doing a printout of those card characters and stuff. If people are interested, I think there's a couple of people that just redone them with AI and they get printed onto card for you, and you can. Not as good as the original thing, of course. But yeah, if you go on eBay and find any of that stuff, it sells for some considerable pennies.
I bet it does.
Yeah. Well, that's it for today. We're gonna wind it up there now.
Let me close with a thought.
What's that?
I'm gonna close with a thought. I can't stress enough how much Doctor Who impressed upon me as a kid. The issue of time was so interesting to me that it carried over into my academic life. So I didn't quite go this far, but I very nearly did. Except I almost very nearly did. I went to school to major in the philosophy of time.
Right, but you didn't. Wow. You nearly did, but you didn't.
I didn't want to go live in England.
Oh, why? What's wrong with England?
I can tell you a few things.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, Oriel College sounds like a really cool place, but I just didn't want to. I didn't want to live in England, and I just had to kind of go home. I had to be a history guy, and that's where I've been ever since. Yeah. But I never forgot. I still wonder from time to time what would happen if I'd ever gone into the philosophy of time.
Yeah. But then I think if you were to have gone into the philosophy of time, you would have probably be sitting here saying, I wonder what would have been if I'd only gone into history.
Yeah, but then if he'd gone into the philosophy of time, he would have invented a time machine, and then he could have gone back and done it over. And then done the history course, and then you would have had 2 timelines.
Because my position is you can't manipulate something like that.
Right. Okay. All right. Well. Who knows? I guess in time we'll find out. See what I did there? All right. Okay. Well, that's. Thank you for that, Darth. Yeah. I mean.
Thanks for having me on.
No, not at all. I will do. A top 5 episodes of the new era of Doctor Who. So that's Chris Eccleston.
You mean the non-canon one?
David Tennant. No. These are canon. David Tennant, Matt Smith, and Peter Capaldi, who is the last Doctor Who that I can remember.
I did watch them. I watched half of one episode for what was it? The lady's name. And I stopped halfway through. I just couldn't handle it.
I watched a couple of those, and that and sure. I like Ncuti Gatwa as an actor, but I saw briefly a bit of an episode of one of them, and I just thought, I can't buy into this.
Yeah, the new Who is a step down from the classic, but it does have its moments, and I certainly can elaborate on that.
We'll do another stream about that. I really like David Tennant's era. I thought when Matt Smith was cast, I was like, no, you're joking. This guy's like a boy. Come on. But he earned it. He really made the character his own. He threw himself into it, and that's a conversation for another time. I won't go down that rabbit hole now. We'll be here all night. But yeah, I mean, the original era of Doctor Who did leave a massive mark on me. It was the first science fiction thing I ever saw. I saw it even before Star Wars came out, and obviously it had a pretty big impact, as did many of the stories and the villains. And clearly I also, at one point in my life, consumed a larger amount of Weetabix than was probably sensible. I actually even remember giving my mum my pocket money to go and get the big box Weetabix version of the board game so that I could get the proper version of it. I didn't want the short version. I wanted the big box version. So yeah, favorite Doctor is Pertwee, because he's the one I grew up with initially, and I just liked him. I also got to meet Jon Pertwee because him and the Daleks came down to Surbiton Lagoon, which was like a outdoor swimming pool that only used to open in the summer. That was right around the corner from my house, and we got down there just in time to. In fact, Pertwee was leaving when we got there, and got to speak to him very, very briefly. They had Bessie, the car was there, and then the Daleks were being pushed along the side of the swimming pool and into the shed at the back. But they did push a few people in the pool, apparently, with their sucker things before we got there. So,
what year was this?
Sounded very entertaining. So the Nielsen ratings, which is our regular show, which is normally on Tuesday at the new time of 9 p.m. Now, I have a guest arriving from overseas that day, and I'm going to decide on the day whether or not we do a Nielsen ratings. It may be that we don't do one this Tuesday. My friend did joke about coming on the show with me, and that might happen as well. But I'm cooking them dinner on Tuesday night, and we've got a lot to. We haven't seen each other in nearly 10 years, so we've got a lot of catching up to do. So I have a feeling I might not end up doing the Nielsen ratings on Tuesday. However, to quote the inside man's favourite word, however, it may suddenly happen at the last minute, and I might suddenly be messaging everybody and saying, everyone, it's on at sort of 8:30 or something. But I'll let people know either way on the day, but it'll probably be quite late in the day when I go one way or the other on that. If I'm not streaming on Tuesday, I'm sure Toxic will stream something. So, Leroy's greatest moments compilation, something similar. But it'll be whatever happens, it'll be fun. So I am going to do another Doctor Who Chew the Fat. Probably won't be immediate, but I'll do top 5 new era storylines at some point. And there's a few other Chew the Fats coming. I've got a load of industry interviews coming as well this month. And always looking for more. So that's it for tonight. Thank you, the people that are watching. Thank you for the people commenting, especially the new people that are new to the channel. Thanks, Red Lesser. Do see you there, mate. Yeah, we all stopped watching at Capaldi. I think I thought Capaldi was a great Doctor. He was a great Doctor with really naff scripts. So yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna end it there. Thank you to my co-panelists, Inside Man and Darth, for coming on.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having us on.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Very, very good fun. We will be back maybe on Tuesday, but if not, definitely the following Tuesday. Yeah, there won't be a Chew the Fat next Sunday because I'll be taking my guests to various places around London. Until then, we'll speak to you all again real soon.